A lot of people go through life doing things badly. Racing's important to men who do it well. When you're racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
Matt Williams got a brilliant start from the third row of the grid.
He's gone, he's hit him, he's straight off at the chase.
A half-second lead. Oh, with the sizzling car in the background.
He has, oh, he's round on the last lap.
There's a massive accident.
Next to the inside, what a move, what a move.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to round number 4 of the Automobilista Australia GT3 World Series for 2020. We're not too far away from the halfway point. That comes up next week, but tonight it's a 2-hour torture test, and there's only 2 words you can use to describe this place to any motorsport fan, and they will know precisely what you mean. And those 2 words are the mountain. It comes calling for the first time this year. Believe it or not, it's the first time in quite a long period of time we've actually had a GT3 race around Mount Panorama. But the call that's been put out has been answered by about 20 or so drivers here tonight, and carrying over from the rather large fields that we've had in recent weeks. So it'll be good to see what sort of test this throws up for drivers. Can Lamborghini continue its red-hot form and get another race victory and make it 2 out of the last 2 rounds? We'll soon find out in a couple of hours. But it's great to have you aboard wherever you're watching from, whether you're in Australia, whether you're somewhere else on this big blue and green planet we call Earth. Welcome along to the broadcast. My name is Steve DeVries, heading up the Outworld broadcast commentary team. And as per usual, joining me for this season are 2 of the finest men who I like to have aboard for endurance commentary. First of all, the man who's been doing this for a number of years now alongside me. Our second year was concluded last year. This is the 3rd year we've done this together, which is Josh Bagsy Bags. And of course, joining us for the first time in a full season this year, a man who knows a lot of things about endurance racing in the world of motorsport. And if you'd like to follow what he has to say, you can have a look on the WEC forums on Reddit, or also tune into the Endurance Chat podcast. So, Josh and Michael, good evening.
Evening, Nelly. Good to be here.
Yeah, good evening, Nether. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for the wrap, by the way. Really appreciate that.
Well, us commentators have got to look out for each other, I think, sometimes, don't we? We're all trying to make our way in the way of motorsport in whatever form we so choose. You've gone down the avenue of the endurance world, Michael. I've gone down the avenue of local state series racing, and Bagsy's dabbled in, I guess, a little bit of everything these days.
Yeah, definitely. It's nice to try out lots of different things.
Yeah, you've had the pleasure of joining me down at Phillip Island on a couple of occasions for various forms of motorsport. But we'll have a quick look at what happened over the course of the last round 2 weeks ago. We had a bit of an interesting run around the Spielberg circuit, the Red Bull Ring, as it's more affectionately known these days. And, well, it ended up bringing the point standings to a head. So after 3 rounds, this is where we stand. Steve Bolger, Bagsy, getting his first win. He'd been knocking on the door for quite some time, and he finds himself not only at the top of the standings, but finally with that first win in his back pocket.
Yeah, breakout win for Steve Bolger, and we'll see how he goes from here. Is he going to be able to back it up at a 2-hour event? We're doubling the time from last fortnight at Spielberg, 120 minutes here. So instead of 1 stop, it's going to be 3 stops. Plenty more chances of mistakes here compared to Spielberg, less runoff. And at the moment, just browsing practice times, he's currently 4th, but not too far behind Will Devonish, who is going to be his main rival again tonight.
Yeah, Will Devonish certainly throwing down the gauntlet. Michael, it's a bit of an interesting dilemma we find ourselves with. The top 4 drivers on the point standings there are the only 4 drivers to be on the podium out of the 3 races we've had so far. Only Steve Bolger and Brenton Foley have occupied the podium on all 3 occasions, and the other positions split between Lewis Wedding and Will Devonish. Lewis not here tonight, so, well, that's an interesting dynamic in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, we could see another one of the field further down maybe jump up and grab that podium position. But it's going to be the times that we've seen so far has shown that there's a pretty decent clump at the top. But honestly, I think the biggest thing about today's race is going to be how consistent people are, not necessarily how quick people are, but staying out of walls, staying out of trouble. And we've seen a few of the other people in that top 12 you've got up there, the Brendan Rosses, the Ziruses, the Ozrobs, can maybe get out of trouble and stay out of trouble, especially if one of the top runners isn't going to be here.
Absolutely. That's the big one that I think we're really worried about. Who can jump up and take the place of Lewis Wedding now? He has drafted in a substitute tonight, so we'll have a bit of a look at how his progress is being made a bit later on. Let's have a look at the team standings. The team standings is a new addition for most of the series this year. Well, the Lamborghinis are Gravel Shed Racing and the Wedding Crashers Racing guys up the very top are dominating at the moment in terms of the points championship, and then the SRT Viper, the BC Racing guys, Brenton Foley and Cracker, occupying third place, and still a little bit to be fought out down the table there as well. Let's bring up the track and tonight's information for you about how the lay of the land is going to go. Bagsy, put simply, as we said before, this place is defined by two words, and that's the mountain. We've been fortunate to be there before for GT3 in real life. Well, it's not an easy track to master.
It certainly isn't. And as I said earlier, a massive difference from Spielberg. Well, basically as fast as Spielberg in terms of the raw speed you can get, but so much more unforgiving, especially at the top of the mountain. You lose it over the top of Skyline quite easily. Coming into the dipper, if you're just slightly offline or if you catch a break, suddenly you're in a wall and you've done massive damage to your car and you're losing lots of time in the pits after that. High chance of safety car as well, and especially in a race this long, we're going to start seeing fatigue set in for drivers, potential unreliability as well with machines for their computers and their games, and just a whole host of things could potentially go wrong. So it's going to be the driver who's consistent and lucky who wins tonight.
I think you're absolutely right about the fatigue. We did see it start to creep in a little bit at the 60-minute round at Austria too, where everybody was going really, really hard for quite some time, and fatigue started to get the better of people a bit later. That also happened at the Cavello round too. It's going to be magnified here. Michael, just looking into the times that people have been doing in the practice session to date and comparing those with our lap records that are there at the moment, we haven't quite gotten to that stage yet. So people that have been talking about 202s or 202 land, a bit more importantly, probably looking at it more being a qualifying type pace. Hard to imagine that maybe that will break that race lap record tonight, but we might go close to a qualifying lap record.
Yeah, well, there's been a bit of chatter during the week that some drivers have been doing a lot more practice and getting right down to those lap record times. I think Will Devonish especially has been looking for some of those lap records. At the moment, we're still in the 204s after tonight's practice session, so we're not quite there yet. But with qualifying just moments away, we could see the first shot at some of those really big hero times. But I don't think we'll be too far off come the race, with the track getting a bit more rubber and people varying their strategies and varying their fuel loads. We might get to see something pretty special towards the end of the race.
Very possible, especially on the light fuel load. And those qualifying and race lap records there were actually set at the Bathurst 3-hour event that we had last year. Actually, believe it or not, two of the drivers that are in the field running in separate cars tonight actually combined to win that race. Brenton Foley and Zirus actually engineered a nice finish in a Mercedes AMG to get to the finish line first in that one. I'm actually proud to say I was the man who race engineered that car to victory on that particular occasion. But before then, we've only had one ever race in GT3, or one other race rather in GT3, and that was all the way back at the very beginning of Automobilista Australia on the 1st of April 2018 was the very first ever race in history of AMS Oz, and it was a GT3 race. That was the very first round of GT3, and there was no live stream, so I'm actually struggling to try and find who actually won that race. I think from memory people have told me it was a race with about 8 people and about 10 AI. On a live server, so that goes to show you how far back it is. So this is really the first time we've actually had a broadcasted GT3 event for Automobilista Australia, and the second occasion that we've raced it for points. Bit of a weird one, isn't it, Bagsy, considering that you and I have been doing this is our third year together doing endurance racing for AMS Oz.
Yeah, I guess you want to keep it a bit special. You don't want to come here too often and ruin the mystique of it. Make it So because we have plenty of other tracks that we've gone to a lot of times, so having this as something a bit special is always good.
Certainly is. Speaking of special, there might be some special lap times about to be set in the next 15 minutes as the green light is shown at the end of pit lane to commence the qualifying session. And Brenton Foley very promptly tries to wipe out some cones at the exit of pit lane. That's not what you want to be doing on your outlap, but the game's given him a little bit of grace there. But as is customary, I guess, in the Supercars Championship, which he's a part of, he likes to be one of the first people out onto track, and now leading this field up Mountain Straight for the first time in anger tonight.
Yeah, he's looking to be the first one to get some clear track as well. It'll be out there, given that it's such a long lap, even though we've got so many people in tonight, it's going to be a lot easier than Spielberg to get some free track and get a good lap in. So getting out first gives you the most amount of laps as well. It is only a 15-minute qualifying session, and given that the times are about 2 minutes, just going out for your out lap is 2 minutes. So you really want 4 at least, so you can get a couple laps in and get your eye in.
Yeah, good call. Very different environment compared to Spielberg, as you mentioned. I think last week we worked it out to be, one driver every 300 meters, 400 meters or something. Should be a lot more room this time around, especially down Conrod Straight and Mountain Straight. But the last place you want to find a slow bit of traffic is on the top of the mountain, and we have seen in practice as already tonight and in the real world as well, things can get very, very tight over the top of the mountain, and you might find that those early runners might just catch those later runners over the top if the later runners aren't paying attention. So hopefully we won't have to deal with that, but it is something to keep an eye on as Foley and Peter, who's drafted into Lewis Wedding's car, come over the chase to start their first laps.
Yeah, Pete Savage being
Peter's
drafted
definitely
in.
Peter's going to be someone to keep an eye on, because in the dying moments of practice, he actually set the fastest time for the practice session with a 2:04.464 as we watched Foley start his lap. So he was actually ahead of Bolger by just under half a tenth of a second, and he himself was then only a few hundredths ahead of Will Devonish. So there's every chance that, as Peter has a big moment in the background from Foley, that he could have a shot at pole.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past you there, Bagsy. I think that's a brilliant call by Lewis Wedding to draft in Pete Savage for tonight's proceedings. Peter's also been involved again, like Brenton Foley, in the AMS Oz Supercars Championship as Foley gets it on the curb on the entrance to Griffins, and he wallops the wall on the outside. You heard it on the audio stream. But he's going to press on and at least set a benchmark time. He can go with a bit of understeer there, mid-corner understeer for Foley. He's going to think back out of that one, and probably a wise choice considering what just happened. A couple of drivers are still parked up in the sheds. I was going to make our viewers aware that there are 3 rear of grid penalties hanging over from the round at Spielberg due to avoidable contact in certain circumstances. So Lime Mitch, who's aboard one of the Matt Harvey repair and tune cars, Luke Joyner, who's aboard one of the Wedding Crashers Motorsport Lamborghinis, they both got penalised for avoidable contact, and Ozrob was actually penalised for moving under brakes. He's in the 555 Gravel Shed Racing Lamborghini. So all 3 of those gentlemen are not partaking in qualifying out of the 20-car field here tonight. There's 17 they're going to take to the track. 3 of them will not, and they will start at rear of grid.
So first sets of times coming through now. Peter was a 24.2 to the second sector. We're unfortunately running without our normal live timing, so we're trying to run a little blind here. Xerus, unfortunately, I didn't catch his lap time, but he's just coming through the chase now. And they will be the first 2 to set lap times this evening as I'm watching Peter come around the final corner to set the first lap of the evening, and it's a 2:03.9, so straight away into the 2:03s. For Peter Savage. Whereabouts is Xerus? He slots in just behind a 2:04. That 2:04.2 is where Xerus is set. Next car over the line is Termo, who sets 2:07, and then I think it will be Wayne Whitmore just coming through the final corner now in his Bentley. And he'll stop the clock way outside what has been said already. 2:09.3.
One of the interesting men I'm watching right now is Greg Tara, the number 19 Porsche. He's just coming to the line now. He's going to probably be in about the 204 bracket. Yeah, he's a 204 and a half, so that's not a bad time. So you're in the 204 bracket and a high 203s. You're actually in a pretty respectable time bracket to post a decent time and be toward the top half of the field. Just watching Xeris press on to the first sector split, and he's up. He's up quite handsomely. Yeah, he's up quite handsomely. Nearly a half a second to the first sector split. So he's not only up on his own PB, but up on the poleman's time as well. And so he's gained 0.4 of a second. If I look at the second PC here, in his first sector, his first one was a 50.7 on his first lap. It's 50.3 on the second flying lap. So maybe this is a different strategy. Some people like to go out there.
I'm just going to interrupt you, Nether, because Devonish has just crossed the line to set a 202.5.
Well, there it is. And then look at the difference that Xeris has lost just as a result of one sector because of Devonish coming to the line first. He's actually gone from being 0.4 up on a poleman's time, which was Peter, to being nearly 0.9 down.
How demoralising must that be, going through one sector and going from having a net loss of 1.2 seconds when the sector didn't look too bad, to be honest. It wasn't a bad sector by any means, but just the sheer swing from that Will Devonish lap, the amount of sandbags he must have had in that car during practice would make Mercedes-Benz blush.
And the strange part about it too, Bagsy, is when you look at the sector time that Will Devonish set as Xeris improves his time to a 3.6, which again is still pretty respectable. Devonish didn't actually do a lot with his Sector 1 different to Xeris. He was only a 10th quicker in the first sector. It was over the top that he actually completely blitzed it. He did a 33 flat over sector number 2 to Xeris's 33.7. That's where all the difference was made. And Devonish has actually gone quicker again. He's done a 50.0 through the first sector on this one. So we're going to be watching this with interest. This is the next sector timing split out of elbow, and he's still up.
Wow.
He's on it. You see how close he got to the wall there on the exit of Forest Elbow. He was already on the power, a little bit of a squiggle, and just absolutely nailed that corner. The Lamborghini's strength has been straight line speed, but Will Devonish just somehow manages to make it so that it works perfectly for him in the corners at seemingly very little loss in any other forms. Like, he doesn't seem to have any excess tyre wear because of it. He's able to just get the power down. We harped on about it last week. He can just get the power down out of these corners. As we watch him go through the final corner, the car's just absolutely planted. There's no movement whatsoever, and he improves by a 10th. He's just absolutely keyed into this car, and he knows exactly what he wants as he goes back to the garage for probably a celebratory beer.
I think so. As watched John McDonald going into a wall there. He did all of that damage in the first sector. He was actually fractionally slower in the second sector, and again fractionally slower in the third sector. So he didn't bleed that much time. It went from being about 0.2 up to about a 10th up at the flag. So, but that's still a pretty handy lap.
Yeah, restoring a second buffer to second place, who's now Steve Bolger, who set a 203.4 the previous time around while Devonish was on that flying lap.
It's worth pointing out too that lap from Will Devonish is actually a provisionally new qualifying lap record as well. He's surpassed the 202.5 that Dane Warren managed to pull off in the Bathurst 3 hour back in 2019, which was a 202.592, as you saw on our graphic a little bit earlier.
Crazy. That was his first flying lap. That's ridiculous. Peter Savage is on a quick lap at the moment. He's 0.3 up on his personal best coming out of Forest Elbow. So he's heading down Conrod Straight at the minute.
This is looking like it's going to be a very clear second place as well, even though he's 0.8 down on Will Devonish, because there's just that massive gap. So
he still has to overcome Xeris and Bolger, though. That's no mean feat at the moment, because Bolger's half a second ahead of him. So even though he's 0.3 up on his own time, it won't be a positional improvement if it stays that way as he comes through the final corner, gets a little bit of a wiggle on, and stays in fourth. Yeah, so 3.5 tenths improvement.
Lost a lot of time in that last sector comparison. He was 0.8 down coming out of Forest Elbow, and then 1.2 down coming out of the final corner.
And he got a bit ugly over the final curb as well at Murray's. As well, that probably would have lost him a little bit of time too. He would have been tracking pretty nicely in your right bag. Actually, looking at the times, he gained about 2.5 tenths sector 1 on his own time. He was slightly up by about a half a tenth in Sector 2, and he was about a half a tenth up in Sector 3. So that's where his PB improved, but he didn't make the gains in leaps and bounds that everybody else has done through across the top of the mountain and through the first sector. That's where most of the damage is being done at the moment. As Greg Tara finds 7/10 of a second, that's a nice little improvement. So that's moving up on the same row from 5th to 6th. So just exchanging places with this man, Brenton Foley, who's now just trying to find himself a bit of track space. I think he's caught up behind, I think is that one of the Lamborghinis he's behind there on track at the moment. It's just out of shot.
He's behind
Steve
Bolger, who's on a fast lap as well.
Yeah,
all right,
and Devonish has just started a fast lap as well, just by the way.
All right, so have a look at Steve Bolger's time. So he's about 2/10 up on his own
that's
PB.
a very good first sector.
Yeah, very good first sector, and about the same distance to Will Devonish. So this is where the damage is getting done, across the top of the mountain. How committed is the number 87 down through the S's? Super committed, and in actual fact, overcommitted. You're right, Bags. He just completely overcommitted there. He's going to struggle to get out for another lap. He needs to get out now and really try and wring that Lamborghini's neck for another run around the mountain. He's only going to get one more hot flying lap.
Yeah, only one, because he's just left the pits now. So, yeah, Bolger in a bit of trouble now if he's looking for more room.
Yep, I think just about everybody might be on the track at the moment.
Bolger's clearly absolutely going for it in an attempt to overtake Will Devonish and claim the pole position. We saw them battling a lot last race, and Devonish is still absolutely firing it as well. It was Bolger from Devonish from Ross. We can call him Bolger if he gets this pole position as well. It was Bolger from Devonish from Ross last week. Ross down in 7th at the moment, not quite on the pace that he was last fortnight. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Bolger can get up there again.
What are you oohing at there, Michael? What have you seen?
I was just watching Will Devonish head down through the S's into Forest Elbow, and he was all crossed up. So maybe right off this lap for Will. But something I've just noticed is that if you remove the top 6 guys from the timing, which is fair enough because they're just all aliens at this point, the rest of the field's actually pretty well compressed. We've got 7th down to 14th within 1.1 second. So that's a pretty tight-knit group if you just remove the crazy at the top. And somehow Will Devonish is going quicker again.
This bloke is on fire today. We'll see if this carries over the race. So it's a long race, but he's already putting himself up for short odds.
Yeah.
Bookmakers might have closed as he turns on the lights. He's going for another hot lap.
Yeah. Just knocked off
the person in front.
A very fractional amount of time.
Coming through.
Well, he's actually trying to alert Xerus, but Xerus is on a hot lap as well, so Xerus does not have to move over here.
Yeah, I think the bookies might be closed.
Yeah, that's
bookies
plenty.
might be closing the odds on Will Devonish. No more bets, please, because he is on fire at the moment and in the box seat.
Just continues to lower that qualifying lap record benchmark inch by inch at the minute, millimetre by millimetre.
Just a quick aside, this should be everyone's final lap. So if you haven't started a lap yet, you won't get another one in. So for the likes of Noah Taro just crossing the line now, this will be his last go at it.
Yep.
So yeah, best of luck for the guys on their laps at the moment.
Yep, we're just keeping an eye on that part of the track as well, just to see who comes across the line to start their flying laps. We're watching Xerus at the minute, who is up on his PB to the first sector timing intermediate. We'll get another read now out of Forest Elbow. How's it look for the ZMB Racing Mercedes? Up on his own PB. It's not too bad, actually. Being with about a half a second off of Will's time at the moment is not too terrible. And traffic for him getting out of the way down Conrod Straight very, very nicely for him as well. So that's a nice, clean run.
Completely aside, Bolger's up on Sector 1, up on Devonish as he flies through McPhillamy. So we'll keep an eye on that.
All right, well, we'll keep an eye on that one and see how that looks. Let's just see if Xerus will get to the line. Now, Xerus, if he's got fuel, will get time for another lap. So there's just on 50 seconds remaining in this qualifying session. So you will get another lap if you cross the line very shortly. It is second. Yes. Very, very nice. And he'll be happy with that. And it looks like he's had to have bought that lap.
Absolutely.
Devonish has knocked another quarter of a second off the time. He's knocked another quarter of a second off the current pole time. Where's Steve Bolger? He's only 3/10 up at the second timing intermediate. He was, as you said, Bags, he was quicker to the first sector, lost it across the top. What's he done now? If he's 3/10 up, He's going to challenge Zirus for the front row here, now that Zirus is pretty much parked. Matt Schwass, where did he come from?
Whoa.
Matt Schwass finds a huge chunk of time late, and he's going to get another lap too if he's got fuel for it. So he's on the move. The Lamborghinis are coming to play here, not just from one team either. What's Steve Bolger got? The time's about to run. The time's about to run out. No, it's not. He's not going to get another lap. That's it. So he goes second. So he goes second.
0.03 of a second ahead of Zirus. So I think
So
Greg Tara...
Devonish is up by 10th through the first second.
Are we going to see a 201 here? Are we going to see a 201?
We better find him. Where is he? He wants the broadcast, I think, at the moment. He just realised on the broadcast we just had another car cross the line. Who was that just went through?
Noah Tara.
Noah Tara stays 9th. Who else we got coming tonight? Looks like Brendan Ross's Bentley is coming to the line as well. And Brendan Ross, I don't think, improves there as well. The Devonish to the first sector timing intermediate wasn't all that bad. He's up again.
Oh,
he's targeting.
up.
You're right, gents. He's targeting the 201. What on earth has this guy had for breakfast this morning?
I don't know what he's had for breakfast, but he's certainly eaten road at the moment. It's just crazy how quickly he's just improving this time here. He's already a second up on everyone else. This isn't for pole position. This is just for bragging rights at this stage as he comes through the chase. Very nice.
Oh, tail hanging out. Got the tail hanging out a little bit. A la Brenton Foley. He's showing him a clean set of heels right now.
Speaking of Brenton Foley, he is looking to potentially take second here on his fast lap.
Oh, Devonish backs it into the final corner, and he's just going to miss out on the 201.
Oh, bad luck.
Oh, but still, look at that time, 2:02.022. Richie Beno would be proud of that.
Foley doesn't jump up to second. He, in fact, stays in 6th.
But he improved by a long way, though. He improved by a long way, though, but still couldn't make any impression. Jeez, what a flurry of late activity that was.
Jeez. I think we still got Liam Spencer on a lap. He's currently sitting 12th.
I think you're probably right, actually. Yeah, here he comes in the Nissan.
1/10 to get over Thomas for for 11th spot.
There's another car on track as well, which I think is his father, Wayne Spencer, just come into the pit lane. Good move from Liam Spencer late too as well. Finds nearly a half a second. That vaults him up onto row 5 next to Noah Tara. We keep saying that Liam and Noah are two young guns here in AMS Oz, and they're going to be sharing yet another row together in the GT3 series.
I can't get over Will's lap. Oh, yeah. Wow. What a qualifying session. If you look at the times, if we can see them on the sidebar there, Will Devonish, a second, daylight. Then Stephen Bolger, Zirus, Matt Schwass, great run from him into 4th. And then I think that was Peter Savage who didn't get a last run in. I think he actually went off at Hell Corner. But man, what a session. What an absolute masterclass from Will Devonish.
That is a masterclass in any way, shape, or form. And Bagsy was right. He was targeting he was doing it for bragging rights, and you were right too, Michael. He was targeting the 201. He wanted to basically lay down the law and basically say, shut the front door. I'm in control here, and that no one even got close to that time at the end of the day. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely bonkers. Yeah,
that's. What more can you say? What more can you say after that? And in fact, we got Will in here with us. He's just joined on to the broadcast. Will, what the hell, man?
Yeah, I was really disappointed he didn't get the 1.
Yeah, we were going for you, man. It was what 2:02.022 at the end there. You had just a bit of a lose in the last corner or out of the chase. I think maybe even both. Man, how does it feel to have literally a second over your competitors after qualifying?
As long as that stays up during the race, I'll be happy. It was a good run. I was happy with that.
Yeah, fair call. I think you improved on almost every lap in that session as well. So are you finding that as you go on, as you do more laps, that you're able to wind up that pace, or is it you just had that magic at that moment?
Well, to be honest, I think it was a bit of unique conditions. It's actually really hot out there. It's like 37 degrees on track, where through practice it was all 25 degrees. So it's sort of just the stars aligned and it really worked with the setup.
Beautiful. Oh, best of luck. We got a 2-hour race ahead of us tonight. You feeling confident for tonight's race?
Just take it every lap as it comes, see what happens.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Will. Congratulations on pole position.
Thank you.
Not only that, congratulations on a new track qualifying record as well. That's lowered the benchmark considerably. That's shaved. Well, it's not really. Shaved is probably not really the word for it, is it? It's sliced or carved a half a second off of a qualifying lap record. And to think that we nearly saw a one, I guess, gives me, I guess, tingles in the spine, because given we've also had, remember last year, Michael, as well, they had, I think it was Challenge Bathurst, or it was one of the events before the 12 hour this year where you can actually run the GT3 cars unrestricted at Bathurst, and I think some of the times that they were setting in real life were absolutely mega. And the fact we nearly got close to doing the same thing.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous what these guys have been able to achieve. I think the lap record in the 12-hour event, I think, is a 2017, which might be either Van Gisbergen or Alvaro Parent in the early hours of the 2016 Bathurst. But as Will mentioned, as the track gets hotter, the pace really goes away. So for him to say that the track is still quite hot and he was making that sort of lap time is actually quite extraordinary. And if you look to this year's Bathurst 12 hour, one of the reasons that we had so many accidents in the lead into the race was because of the track conditions. The heat was really just meaning that there wasn't that lap time there and people were chasing it and making mistakes. So yeah, it's just extraordinary that he's managed to extract that sort of lap time out of the race, out of the track, because it just shouldn't be possible. It just shouldn't be possible. No. But he did it like 5 times. What's going on?
Just continued to lower it and lower it. Bagsy, what on earth are you digesting out of that, aside from the mega pole lap, which I don't think we're going to shut up about all night now? What else have you digested out of that? Who is where you don't expect them to be in this order?
Before I get to that, I will say that I believe every single one of Will Devonish's laps was good enough for pole, if I'm right. I think he could have just stopped after the first one and he still would have had a good 3 or 4 tenths, but he didn't, quite clearly, and he's just put in mega lap after mega lap. And really, if he can keep, he can take a second a lap off his pace, still be faster than anyone's qualifying lap. And if that's a comfortable pace for him, then I don't think anyone's going to challenge him at all tonight, and he'll just absolutely walk over the field. So we'll see how that goes. Biggest one for me might be Brendan Ross. He's a bit further back than he was last race. Last race he qualified in third. Matt Schwass, his absolutely mega lap at the end, right at the death, was quite good, going up to fourth. A couple of the people we saw had qualifying penalties, so Ozrob and Lime Mitch, we'll expect to see them going through the field as well. Lime Mitch and Matt Schwass had a really good battle at Spielberg, so hopefully Lime Mitch will be able to claw his way up towards Matt Schwass so we can see them go at it yet again. There's going to be a fair bit of movement throughout the field, I think, tonight. Apart from at the front, I think she's just going to romp away with it.
Well, one thing we're going to have to be careful of too, or the drivers are going to have to be careful of, is what happened at Spielberg as well, where everybody just funneled into turn one, thought it was a sprint race, and then everybody sort of got all crossed up and collecting into each other, and it upset the apple cart quite a bit. There was quite a few avoidable contact incidents that happened. Admins actually went through the whole entire broadcast and the whole entire replay in game and ascertained that, well, actually there were only 3 drivers that ended up with penalties out of all of that. So we'll have to see how those drivers that do have the penalties tonight fare with getting their way through the field. But the most important thing is everybody's got to take it easy going into turn one and for the first half a lap or so, and just settle into this race, because it's a long event. There's 3 pit stops. You can't get home on 2. You have to stop at 3 in some form or another. Otherwise,
unless there are a ridiculous amount of safety cars.
Correct, unless there are a plethora of safety cars. So if it stays green, we're expecting that it's going to be a 3-stop race. Even if 1 or 2 safety cars, it'll be a 3-stop race. So everyone's just got to wait for the whole thing to play out. And I think some of the drivers before the practice even got underway summed it up perfectly, and that's tonight is all about finishing. When you finish at a racetrack like this, it's just as satisfying as finishing, another difficult circuit of a similar nature. The win for a lot of these drivers is going to be out of the question. Just finishing alone tonight is going to be the reward.
That being said, I wouldn't count out anyone outside the top 7 or so for the chance of the win, because who knows what happens. Even though Will Devonish has been absolutely dominating, it's very easy, especially in these long races. Technology issues can get in the way. We know that once you start getting past about 90 minutes, AMS can struggle a bit, and a lot of people may have technical issues that cause them to drop out of the race, which is unfortunate, but it's part of how the game works and how the sim runs. And it's akin to a technical issue for your car, really, except it's just in the game or the computer. It really is luck of the draw. There's not much you can do about it. It's just the potential there. So in a race like this, who knows who's going to end up at the front?
That's right. And of course, the admins have been doing a great amount of work to try and help some of these drivers tune their settings in the game to minimize that as much as possible. So big thanks to Lewis and Will for putting out some posts and some guides to help the drivers sort of tune the graphic settings to minimize that sort of issue. And we're actually noticing a handful of drivers have taken the opportunity to exit out of the game and then come back into the server. Again, they're resetting their memory limits and then giving themselves a clean set of heals, so to speak, for the 2-hour test that lies ahead.
You like that saying, don't you? Clean set of heels.
Clean set of heels, yeah. It's one of my things up there with hammer and tongs. I think you've dropped that a couple of times as well, or a few people have dropped it. I was actually watching one of the ARW streams back that you were on as well there, Michael, and you dropped that a few times. And I think we've got the same sort of singing from the same hymn book sometimes when we're looking at our commentary gospel.
Yeah, got all those cliches just ready in a row to go. Speaking of ready in a row to go, it might be time for us to go racing.
It looks certainly like it. We're starting to get a grid assembled or a field assembled on the grid rather. First few cars starting to get out there. Now they've got 60 minutes to get themselves sorted. We've got a field of 20 drivers. Just looking there to see if all the drivers who had penalties are in. So Luke Joyner and Ozrob definitely in there. Lime Mitch, who has a penalty hanging over his head, doesn't look like he is partaking in tonight's proceedings, as he is not in the server. So I don't think he was in to begin with, if I'm remembering correctly. So that means his penalty will carry over to his next race.
No, he was in the server, so
Yeah,
I'm not sure what's happening there.
Yeah, I remember seeing him earlier in the week as well doing some practice, so it would surprise me if he doesn't turn up, which is a shame.
I'm just looking down the order now. Actually, he was in the game quite some time ago and actually must have left before qualifying, so that's a bit of a strange one. All right, Bagsy, let's have a look at this 20-car field about to tackle the mountain.
All right, hopefully better than last week. One and done. Last round, rather. One and done instead of 3 goes at this, but I've got a lot more time because it's a longer track, so that's nice. Will Devonish, after what can only be described as a superlative pole lap, I have a list of adjectives and a thesaurus that I could use to describe it, but let's just say it was bloody bonkers and leave it at that. First place, Will Devonish. Second, Steve Bolger. Will we see he and Will Devonish go at it again, or is Devonish going to drive off into the distance? Can Bolger knock up a second win on the trot after his first breakout win in Spielberg? Xeris, ZMB Racing, in third. Will he be able to challenge the Lamborghinis that are all around him, really, because Matt Schwass making it 3 out of 4 Lamborghinis in the top 4, and the second Gravel Shed Racing, their starting line astern. Peter standing in for Lewis Wedding. I was about to say Will Devonish, but that's incorrect. As he's done quite well to jump straight into that car and put it into 5th. We'll see how his race pace goes. Brenton Foley in the ARW Viper. We'll see how he can go from 6th. He had a probably disappointing qualifying considering his pace through the top. He lost all in the first sector every single time. Greg Tara, the lead Lone Wolf and Cub Racing, the head Tara tonight. We'll see if Noah Tara can catch up to him from further back down the grid. Brendan Rostan in 8th. A bit of a disappointing qualifying for him in comparison. And directly behind him is Liam Spencer. So they're all checking up a little bit there. Gran Turismo, Nissan GTR. Noah Taro is just there in 10th place, followed by Zach Ross for 888 Race Engineering. Aaron Thomas for Harvey Repair and Tune in 12th, followed by Termo for R Motorsports and Cracker at BC Racing. Wayne Whitmore at 15th place of Bentley 4 Motorsport, followed by the other Wayne in the Ferrari. It's an all Wayne row there. Steve Burko, Rolling Rods Redemption, starting in 17th. John McDonald has not made the pit, rather it's not made the starting grid, so he'll be starting from the pit lane. Hopefully he realises that he has to stay there until all the cars are through the first sector, or he will be disqualified, and that will be unfortunate. Luke Joyner in 19th place for Wedding Crashers Motorsport, and rounding out the field, Ozrob, who had a penalty along with Luke Joyner for Gravel Shed Racing. So we have some Lamborghinis bookending the field, and Gravel Shed Racing pretty much bookending the field as well.
Michael, closing thoughts as the field is coming to green?
I'm very excited. This is going to be a great race. Hopefully, fingers crossed. And personally, I just hope we get through the first lap unscathed. That would be nice.
I agree with that. Now the safety car has peeled off into pit lane, and the pair of Lamborghinis will bring the field to green as they address the start for what we expect is going to be around 50 odd laps tonight. Now Will's just slightly further ahead than I think he probably should be. He should be a little bit further back, but they're just waiting for the start-finish line to come up because it's a little bit further along than where it is when you finish the race. And there we go. And the field is away for the 2 hours of Bathurst. And let's just keep an eye on what happens back at turn 1 in the opening lap. Devonish is through. So too Steve Bolger. Looks pretty tidy back there so far, gents. Not too bad at all.
All very well behaved through the first corner there. No incidents whatsoever.
Looks like everyone learned their lesson from last week as they stream over the top of Mountain Straight through over the crest and into Griffin's Bend. And move on in the background. That's Brenton Foley on the inside of Peter Savage. They're going side by side through turn 2. And it looks like Foley hasn't got it quite done. Savage is still on the outside.
Oh, he's got it done now.
The inside. Now he's got it done, yeah. That's the only move really at the head of the field as they all file up through the cutting.
Yep, just looking a bit further back as well to see the rear of grid men who are making their way forward. Ozrob's already picked off about 4 spots already. He's in between Steve Burko, and I think that is Wayne Whitmore back there as well.
Oh, Devonish just clipped the wall. The first lap, he's already had an incident with the wall there, coming up towards Skyline, going through Middle Great, I believe.
Yeah, you don't want to be getting too close to that wall this early.
Doesn't look like it's troubled him too much though, as he's stretched out a second already over the rest of the field. Looking further afield, I think Brendan Ross has lost quite a bit of ground. He's down 10 positions from where he started. And is there someone off in the background? I know, just someone smoking up quite a bit going into the elbow there, but it looks like everyone's all right at the moment.
I did notice with Brendan Ross is that he was at the back of the field at the start, so I'm not sure what happened there in terms of him being demoted positions, because it was in the position that it was telling him to be at. Okay. So I'm not sure what happened there.
Just looking at the battle for 6th and 7th, Greg Turrow has just gone right around the outside of Pete Savage through the chase, and he gets a bit sideways in that Porsche on the exit of the chase, and that invites Savage back in. And
Noah Turrow.
Yeah, here we go. Turrow versus Turrow. Dives from the outside to the inside, does Noah, and takes that position.
Beautiful move.
Great racecraft.
That's a beautiful move. And that all started because Greg Turrow got hung up on the exit curb at the chase. He got the move done, but then he just took it a little bit too deep. And when he went to pull it up, that car straddled the curb, and it invited Pete Savage to come back and have a go, and then put his own son onto the back of his Porsche. And, well, son is now ahead of father. That's interesting, actually. There's 2 father and son pairings in the field tonight. Noah and Greg Turrow. Noah being the son, Greg being the father, and then Wayne and Liam Spencer, with Wayne the father and Liam the son. Liam's actually tucked in behind Greg Turrow as well, actually starting to get back onto the rear wing of that Porsche as well. So the son's in a pair of Nissans, and then Greg Turrow the Porsche, and Wayne Spencer the Ferrari.
Yeah, the lone Porsche and the lone Ferrari. It's funny how that's worked out. I was just umming and ahhing at Cracker, who got a bit sideways out of the cutting, but that seemed to work all right. Much like we've seen Noah Turrow and Liam Spencer close together all the time. Just the two Nissans just seem to be able to find each other on track, and they're just sandwiching the Porsche at the moment as they go over through Skyline once again.
We were just say, speaking of Skyline, currently Brendan Ross, Burko, Wayne Whitmore, Luke Joyner, all fighting absolutely intensely for 16th place. For young and old all through the field.
Yeah, we were watching them as we had our trackside camera watching the Exeter Metal Grate going up and over the top of the mountain in a very, very famous spot where if
I could just call your attention to Conrad Straight in 3rd position. Xeris is running up the back of Steve Bolger and looking at a move down into the chase from the looks of it. He's been in the slipstream the whole straight is he going to make a move under brakes? Not
No,
yet.
there he goes. He's been sitting back there for both laps so far, I think, as well. I think just quite happy to sit back with Steve Bolger. But you're right. This battle for 15th, 16th and 17th, here it is right now on screens. We've got a yellow flag down here at the chase. So somebody's either gone off or...
Oh, it's Noah Tara.
Oh, no.
Where is it? Yeah, there he is. So replay time. Let's get a little bit of a look and see what happened to Noah Tara. So he was just going along minding his own business. Did he just lose it on the extra chase? Just got in a little bit too hot, and then he got on the grass, and nope, did that all on his own. Did not get a helping hand at all, and the field just goes streaming by, but no harm done, and a very, very safe rejoin there as well.
Back down in 19th now, though, which
Yeah,
is really unfortunate.
That's heartbreaking. He's going to join this battle that we were just talking about, that 16th place battle. And
But there is still an hour and 55 minutes to go, so
Yeah.
he has plenty of time to make his way back up through the field.
And just to finish
just
to finish the point I was talking about before, because we've been interrupted a fair bit. When we were watching the back end of that battle that just ran up the top of the mountain, I was about to say it's a very, very famous place that we've had here in Automobilista Australia at the mountain. Hans Brunswick, who's watching along in the live stream at the moment, will remember that place. That's the spot where Greg Tara famously got his supercar up on two wheels after clipping the inside curb, and he thought he was in the Tour de France, and that's a very, very famous shot. That's just coming up to this part of the circuit now. So they duck down through Metal Grate here, and then it goes up over top. It's that inside curve right there, just where they exited. That's where Greg Tara got the two wheels up in the air, probably for about 100 metres or so. It was one of the highlight packages of last year.
Brilliant. So while Nether was regaling us with that story, post-replay, Foley's actually jumped past Matt Schwass, who's now engaged in a battle with Peter Savage for 5th. And then ahead, Xeris is, it's take 2 between Xeris and Bolger as they head into the chase once again. Now, Xeris looks very close, but he doesn't seem to have the same braking confidence as Bolger does as they enter the chase. Bolger seems to just step maybe a further meter or 10 meters before hitting the brakes, which is giving him enough room to stay ahead of Xeris. And further back, actually, Peter Savage did get that move done on Matt Schwash before they got to the chase. But so yeah, moving all around the top 6 at the moment as we've got a new fastest lap of the race set by very own Will Devonish.
Race pace looks like it's settling into a mid 205 to a high 204 at the moment, and Devonish the exception to the norm at the moment, out there in front with the 203s. But then when we have a look at Xeris sitting in there behind Steve Bolger for a while, Bags, you just want to have a bit of a look maybe just to see if Xeris is just lifting and coasting and just maybe saving a bit of fuel here, maybe making that Lamborghini do a little bit of work, maybe just sitting there hoping that he can be dragged along.
I'm following on board at the moment, and I have been since about the chase, and it does look like he might be doing a little bit of fuel saving. There's a couple of short shifts, but for the most part, yeah, I think it's just a little bit void. I'm not sure if that's just how he's wanting to drive this car, though, but he does seem to have more pace than Bolger across the top of the mountain. It's like he's just keeping himself in check a little bit, so maybe he is trying to do as Lewis Wedding does and just absolutely save fuel, save fuel, save fuel. But he seems to be right on it.
Oh, he's made a mistake, though. He made a mistake. Yeah, coming over the top of the skyline and down to the S's, he really got a little bit crossed up there. He's managed to recover it, though, because that's a very dangerous part of the track. If you're going to, make a mistake there, as Foley's in the background, just trying to get back in touch with this duo. Now, that's an interesting point you raised, Bagsy, about Xeris saving fuel, because we know from previous history that strategy is not his strong suit.
He's definitely improved in recent years, though, and it's something that I think he's almost certainly saving fuel, because he's not pushing this car anywhere near as hard down the chase. So I think this is definitely a strategic play from Xeris here.
It could be,
and
as well, just to cut in over the top of you, sorry, it could be a setup or a VOP thing as well. He might have that car set up to be a bit more stable over the top of the mountain with a bit more aero, so he might be getting a double benefit of sitting in the slipstream. Means he can keep that top speed up as well as saving some fuel.
He's gone very deep
he has
into
too.
the first corner.
Oh,
into
wow.
the wall.
That's a huge
He's
mistake.
Totally missed his braking point there.
Oh, and he came on right in between Foley and Pete Savage as well. So that's a really, really awkward thing. Just checking the car, shaking it side to side just to make sure there's not a huge amount of steering damage on that one. But That's a very, very costly mistake this early in the race. He could have he might not have gotten away cleanly with that one.
Just based on his onboard shots, he's been shifting most of the time when he hits the yellow lights on the dashboard. So very rarely is he letting it get all the way up.
I'm going to just interrupt you guys and bring you to the battle for 8th position. Liam Spencer, Aaron Thomas, and Zach Ross. They're nose to tail heading through the cutting. Spencer got passed by Thomas rather, on the entry to Griffins, and then got the position back, and that's actually Constantinaed everyone up. They've been nose to tail for the past lap, and it's just been balls to the wall action as they come over through Metal Grey over to McPhillamy.
Liam Spencer's doing quite well at the moment. I know he's only up one spot, but he's ahead of some pretty seasoned campaigners at the moment in Aaron Thomas, and Zach Ross is no slouch either. Zach Ross running one of the guest car liveries tonight. Another one of the Mercedes cars that we have in the system that has very, very sideways out of the dipper as well is Zach Ross, and locking it up on
Aaron Thomas a little bit there.
Yeah, and everybody's locking up on the run into the elbow as well. Just noticing as Liam Spencer goes past, there's a bit of a dent in the driver's side door of that car as well. So I'm wondering if there's been a bit of argy-bargy between this bunch over the last lap or two.
Has been a little bit of buff and barge, but nothing too significant. I think just people using each other as braking markers, as you do over the top of the mountain. But this battle pack between the three of them has been livid.
Oh, sense it!
Then he goes around.
They're all caught up. Wow, now that all started because Aaron Thomas got into the... Oh, there's an unsafe rejoin! Oh, wow, this could be a safety car. This could be a safety car right at the chase. This is disaster. That's also caught Turmo up. That has really altered the balance of the mid-pack here. That is huge. Let's have another look. Let's have another look at that, because that's worth another shot. We're just going to get an X on the replay here. So we saw the contact. It was the number 91 Aaron Thomas getting in. There's the rejoin. That's the problem. Spencer, just a little bit inexperienced, gassed it up on the grass and actually turned the car around. So that's an unsafe rejoin. That's going to cop a penalty at the end of this race. Now I think Ozrob, who'd actually Ozrob looks like he's okay. He's gained 10 spots. He's gotten away. There was Turmo. There was also another one of the gravel shed Lamborghini cars in there, which can only be Matt Schwass, who had gone a bit backwards, I think, getting caught up in that as well. So we're lucky to avoid the safety car. It was Ozrob.
That was Ozrob who caught Turmo and
because remember, Ozrob started from the back of the
grid.
Yeah,
he did, but he's gained 10 spots. That was the worry for me. So a couple of those 10 places have come in that little part of the track there as well. So he's actually done quite well to get up to 10th. Spencer just had another moment whacking the wall on the run up to the cutting as well. So we're actually pretty lucky that we didn't get a safety car for that, because there was about 3 or 4 cars caught up in that. That could have been worse than what it actually was. We're very lucky.
I think Lee just
bad for Turmo there.
Yeah, definitely. He kind of arrived on the scene of the accident before, with nowhere to go, really. That was a bit of inexperience from Liam, and I think he just needs to take a little bit of a breath now. He's in behind his father and Wayne Spencer, so just take a little bit of a breath, just reset and go again.
Yeah.
Speaking of resetting and going again, that battle between Thomas and Ross has started up again, but even further up the road, Xeris has actually lost the position to Brenton Foley.
I was about to say that actually, because while we were having a bit of a look at the replay to figure out what happened down at the chase, Brenton Foley's actually managed to slip past Xeris. Now, of course, Xeris had that issue where he came back onto the track having made a mistake. I think he'd actually gotten back past Foley, and now is just sitting in behind him. Has he, Bagsy, or is he still stayed there to be rejoined?
No, he was behind Foley and Peter, I believe, and now he's got past Peter again.
Okay, well there we go. So that's a bit of a mop of the brow thing there for a moment, because I know he was in third. He then had an issue. There's a live steward penalty. A 20-second stop go. Our live steward has issued to Liam Spencer. So Mike Coulston fulfilling that duty tonight, and he has seen that unsafe rejoin and said, nope, that is worthy of coming in and doing a stop-go in the lane. And Lewis Wedding, who's one of the driving standards observer, who's not in tonight, actually in the live chat, saying that was going to be a big penalty as well, and that's a pretty big whack. 20 seconds is a huge whack.
Yeah. Oh well, that's the only way to really learn. Unfortunately, is sometimes you got to make the mistake and get punished for it. Yeah, unfortunate, because he was actually doing quite well up to that point, and had that Constantina not happened, he probably would have gotten away with it all. Real shame.
Aaron Thomas, who was in that previous battle with Zach Ross and Spencer is now the head of the queue that involves Ozrob, Brendan Ross, and Cracker, and they are very close. As Ozrob is looking at some interesting places to potentially overtake Aaron Thomas, to say the least.
Let's go back to this battle. So here they come down through the S's. So you've got Ozrob tucked in behind Aaron Thomas, then back to Brendan Ross, who has started making his way back from the rear of the grid. Then you've got Cracker, the second of the BC Racing Vipers, back there as well. And then Liam Spencer's tucked onto the end of this battle, locking it up on the run to the elbow, but he's got 3 laps to come in and serve that stop-go penalty.
I would probably take it right now, get out of this battle, and just get in some
Agreed.
clear air and clear your head. Yeah.
Agreed. And this is part of the learning. This is part of the learning process. We went through it with Noah Tara as well. He was very, very quick at one of the GT3 rounds as Ozrob finally makes his move on Aaron Thomas down Conrod Straight. This is one of the things that Noah Tara learnt pretty easily and pretty quickly back in the day. Is you might be fast and you might be out there to lead the field, but when you make a mistake, you've just got to learn to keep a cool head. And he actually led a good portion of that race at Jerez, and then ended up having to a tour of the lane as well after a couple of dramas. But he's learnt, and he's got a much better head on his shoulders. And as you just alluded to, Michael, it looks like the Nissan of Liam Spencer has come in to serve that 20-second stop-go.
If I was Liam Spencer, honestly, I would have gone another 2 laps, waited for as long as possible, and then taken the penalty, because you can fill up and change tyres when you are in the pit lane serving a stop-go.
Oh, really?
In Automobilista. And so it would be best to go as far as possible and then bank on a safety car, and you can sort of cancel out the early pit stop. As it stands, he's still going to have to make 2 more pit stops at least, and probably 3.
Yeah, the drama you're going to have there, though, as well, is that when the safety car comes out, penalties cannot be served as well. So if a safety car was to come out at that particular point in time, the penalty would still be overhanging. He would have still had to serve it. So that's another interesting element that AMS adds to things. Ozrob's just started to clear away from this battle now, as Aaron Thomas is not quite the cork in the champagne bottle yet for Brendan Ross. But I think it's probably only a matter of time, perhaps, before Rossi starts.
Oh, no, Rob has gone.
Yep, Ozrob has made a
gone
mistake.
off
He's made a huge mistake, as we've seen it on just the back end of a helicopter. Oh, and he's just... well, the problem
he's got to get out of there.
The problem the problem where he is at the moment is that he can't... and he's facing the wrong way too. So just engage reverse. That's it. The problem is these... Oh, no! Tomo's involved again!
It's Turbo.
Okay, that's Turbo is in the wrong place at the wrong time, and we've got a safety car. So, rightfully so, the safety car has been called. You saw it first there on the live stream. So, the safety car has been called for. Now, Bagsy, do you want to retract your statement about what just happened to Liam Spencer? Getting in and serving that penalty is his saving grace.
Yeah, it ended up working out perfectly for Liam Spencer. Just to say, apparently Turmo kicked a black cat with a mirror while walking under a ladder at some point recently, because he is not having... he's straight up not having a good time tonight.
No, he's not, but at least he's going to have an opportunity to repair his car. My mother came up with a great one the other day with regards to, black cats and other things. She said, I think I killed a Chinaman, because she had quite a lot of things happen to her in the same day that weren't all that very good. Bolt in her tyre and a bunch of other things as well. Tripped the safety switch at home, and just all was happening for her. So she said she thinks she killed a Chinaman. So, but you're right. Thermo, I think, is whatever he's done, black cat, Chinaman, whatever else there is out there, he's done it all.
Shit. Just as a quick aside, guys, just before the safety car was called, Brenton Foley, he ran wide in the chase and actually gave up positions to both Xeris and
he has.
Peter Savage. So he's dropped down to 5th. And it was just, I'm looking at the replay now, it was just an innocuous lose. He just missed his braking zone and just toured through the grass. And yeah, before he knew it, it was 2 places further back.
Now, the safety car is not out on the circuit yet either. So the safety car was called for just probably as the leaders were coming across the line. That's how strung out the field was. We were watching the incident unfolding at the top of the mountain, or just as they descended from the top of the mountain. So the leaders would have just gotten across the line, probably, I reckon, about 5 or 6 seconds before the safety car got called for. So they're all coming around now, which means the pits are still closed. I'm just watching Will Devenish on the other side at the moment. He can't come in for a stop, and despite his advantage, the safety car is about to be scrambled.
Just another quick thing, we've lost Greg Turra. He's had a disconnect coming down the mountain. was completely fine, got halfway down the S's and then gone. So we got our first retirement from the race as well, unfortunately, is Greg Turra.
Oh,
We're only 20 minutes in.
That's an interesting one though, because the Turras are in the same household. So if it's a I think it's not so much a disconnect. I think that's probably some sort of a machine failure as well. So
Yeah.
that's a bit of a weird one.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope it doesn't affect Noah as well, because that would be a bit crap to lose both of them for issues that weren't their own doing. Yeah.
Now,
Wow, what a weird start to the race.
I'm just looking to see where the safety
Because
car
there's
is on track at the moment. I actually can't see. We've got
It
Will
is.
Devenish on the onboard, and then we're looking at from where this
It
safety car is
definitely
right
is
now.
there.
Yep.
He's just a little. It's just coming up as we'll see it in front of Will Devenish in a couple of seconds now, just around this next corner. He came out. John McDonald luckily got out just in front of it, so he was about 40 seconds behind because of his pit lane start and having to wait for Will Devenish to get to the first sector.
There it is
And
on the onboard. There he is right there.
Yeah, he was getting very close to coming a lap down. So now all that time that he lost, he's going to make up and he's going to be able to be onto the back of the field. Although he might not, given what's been happening to the people in around that position.
Now the next question is, how strung out is this field? How quickly are they going to be able to catch this safety car before they start to get pit strategy into place? So John McDonald, you're right, Bags, he was the one that got out ahead of the safety car. He's just down at the chase now as the safety car's up, just exiting the dipper on its run to Forest Elbow. Liam Spencer is down at the first corner, so he's the next man. So too Burko. Termo is up on Mountain Straight as well. So the field is still pretty strung out from the bottom end as well, but most of the top runners will catch the back of the snake as it runs down Conrod. Now we've got to start to talk about strategy. We've got to start talking about strategy, guys. What's going to happen?
Well, just quickly,
remember
that we've got a longer safety car period. Sorry to jump in on top of you. We've got a longer safety car period because of A, the track length, and B, what happened at Cavello. So we'll actually have an additional lap for everyone to get their pits in. I would take my pit stop on the second safety car lap because you're almost in the window.
Yeah, the way that it was actually set up to work was that lead lap cars go first and then the lap traffic would go second. Now we don't have any lap traffic, so everybody can come in on this first sequence of stops, or you can wait it out and come in the second sequence of stops. The problem here for the leaders is they're probably going to have to go now, or they're going to cede track position because the people behind them will realise that they've got to come in, and here they come.
Go now because you should be able to come out near 17th.
Yeah, top 5.
Near 13th rather, because they're still a fair way back.
Top 5 are in. Matt Schwass goes around, so then it goes back to Aaron Thomas. Brendan Ross is in there as well. Looks like there was one of the Nissans, I think, came in behind as well. It might have been Noah Turra. No, Noah Turra's gone around. So
don't forget they've got teammates to worry about as well. So that's probably why Schwass has gone around, as has Cracker and Zach Ross.
Yep. So here we go. So here is pit lane. Oop, our camera's just giving us a little bit of a headache here. There we go. Oh, have a look at the pit lane sandwich right at the end of pit lane. This is terrible. So Brenton Foley's come in. He's blocked in Pete Savage. There's Will Devenish in behind. Bolger's going to have a half-decent run out. Wayne Spencer in the back. That's the car I couldn't quite see that it came in. I thought it may have been Noah Turra up in back. Looks like Luke Joyner might be back there as well. Here comes the second of the Bentleys. So Wayne Whitmore is getting onto the back, getting in there behind Brendan Ross. That's going to be a bit of an issue because they've got share of pit bay. There's Ozrob, Steve Burko. Xeris is on the move. So too is Steve Bolger. And Devenish has lost out. So Devenish loses out to Bolger by a millisecond. Devenish now comes out second in the running order, in corrected running order behind Bolger, then Xeris, then Pete Savage, and then Foley actually loses out big time as well. Goes back to, well, he was already back to 5th anyway in the queue, so he's now out. So a little bit of shuffling in pit lane, but it wasn't too bad when they came out.
Yeah, not too bad in the end there. I think everyone managed to get in and out all right. Interestingly, I think Wayne jumped up a bunch of spots in the pits there. I think he jumped up ahead of Aaron Thomas, who's lost a few spots as well. Yeah,
he did.
So, yeah, interesting to see. Now, do the top 4 who haven't taken their pit stop, it would be interesting to see if they come in this lap immediately or if they try and hang out for as long as they can before taking their pit stop, because it's a pretty safe 3-stop here, but it's a matter of how long you can go on that fuel. So, you know, if we're looking at 136, 32-minute stints to the end is probably doable. So maybe if you can stretch that first stint to 40 minutes, you might get a yield later on by taking a short stop. I don't know. It'll be something that you have to work out at some point during the race.
Now, this could be a lot. As I was busy writing in who pit when, so you may have just said this, but Schwartz, Ross, Cracker, and Noatara are probably going to be, if there's no more safety cars, probably in the best position. But because of only, they can still make 3 stops from here, pit this lap, they'll lose some track position, but they'll be all good. Versus those who have pit now, it depends on how good they are on fuel. We don't have any data on this because we don't know how long they would have run on a full stint. So we might not know who's in the best position until about 30 minutes from now.
I'm looking at this from an inverse point of view because I'm forever the pessimist out of everybody. These guys might actually stay out for a little bit longer and maybe run to, say, an hour and a bit. Actually, I say that they all decide to come in and make a fool of me. I was going to say, I'll be looking at those guys maybe trying to run a bit of an inverse strategy and not sort of be pitting around the same time as all the other guys if they didn't come in this lap, because that means they're going to be a lap apart. Run a little bit longer, maybe stay out front, maybe go for that shorter stop toward the end. Or stay on a different strategy compared to other cars around you. Maybe try and make it work for you. And that being said, they're going to have a little bit of room each to occupy the pit lane, so they're not going to have any issues getting out like the rest of the field did. But effectively, that now cleanses the field, and it puts Steve Bolger at the head of this field. So that's worked out quite nicely for him. He's going to have a bit of a task, though, to fend off the very, very fast Will Devonish behind, though, when we go back to green flag racing here, gentlemen.
Just looking down into chat, and we've got Lewis Wedding in chat, and he reckons they should have stayed out, get past the hour and 30 minute mark, and get track position later on. And he reckons everyone who pits now is going to need to splash and dash again.
Correct. That's so precisely what I was looking at.
Lewis Wedding agrees with you. No one else does apparently, because they've all pit. So it's a moot point now.
I disagree. I disagree with Lewis, and I'll tell you why.
Oh, drive-through penalty has been awarded to Ozrob. That's now come through from race control. So that is now a direct response to what happened at the top of the mountain. So that'll have to be served when we go back to green flag racing.
Hadn't he already been given a 20-second stop go?
Yeah, so he got a 20-second stop go that we missed, that Mike Coulston's just discording me about at the moment. But yeah, he's come and tried to serve that under safety car. So he's...
there we go.
It's a weird one there. So he probably got to drive through for trying to serve a penalty under safety car. Now, I'm going to disagree with Lewis Wedding here. And the reason is that if you get to... If you can stretch your fuel window to 32 minutes... which isn't that difficult if you're going from 30 to 32. That's one lap. Pitting 24 minutes into the race, like the top runners have, is already on that window. So that's 32 minutes stints to the end of the race, plus one. So it's going to be the plus one that's going to be interesting at the end. But if you can stretch that fuel window to 32 minutes or 33 minutes, then you're good to go from here. You lose out by not pitting under the safety car. So yeah, that's what I would be doing. And unfortunately for the guys like Matt Swash, who would have had to double stack, then they've unfortunately not been able to get there. But I think the correct play here is to pit under safety car, even though everyone's done it. So it's kind of a moot point.
As you said, Matt Schwass, he's come out in 14th, so it's not like he's come out last from that.
But he was sixth.
He was well up the order.
But he does have an extra. Well, you could argue 2 laps of fuel because this lap is under safety car. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how he goes. As I think the safety car.
We're going to get another. I think we're going to get another lap. So here we go. So the safety car has been hard coded into 3 laps now. So the first lap, and as there's a number of takers coming in to do precisely what a number of people think they should be doing, splashing and dashing, putting that extra fuel in. Now, who came into the pits on that particular lap? Let's have a bit of a look.
Foley, Ross, and McDonald.
Okay, so one driver that's a bit further up the order. One driver that's probably a bit back in the order. And so, yeah, Brenton Foley's in. There he is. Brendan Ross has come in as well. And John McDonald. So they're the 3 that are on my screen on the back side that have come in for a stop. Probably not as silly as it sounds. Especially if some of those guys had a little bit of damage. Get it repaired. You'll have enough time to catch the back of the train. And then you can just systematically work your way through... the field as some of the slower runners start to make, a little bit of mistake, or you find yourself at a pace advantage.
Yeah, this is the safety stop. This is the I can get this done now and not have to worry later. So not a bad idea. But what it does mean is while we've got some time, we can look at some of the people who have made big gains from this safety car.
Absolutely.
And I think the first one I want to point out is actually Wayne Spencer, who's
There
up,
he is.
11th. Whereabouts is he?
He's 11. He's fifth in the queue. He's up 11 spots, and he gained a number of those spots on pit lane as well. You're right. He got ahead of Aaron Thomas.
Yep.
So, and he's also picked up a couple because the likes of Bretton Foley and Brendan Ross, who stopped in the first instance, along with Wayne Spencer, have just dropped out to do a stop for a splash and dash.
Yeah, so he'd be the first one, up 11 spots. Next one, Luke Joyner, starting from the rear of the grid, 12 spots gained, 7th position at the moment. So it's great. These guys have gotten great wins, and then Steve Burko as well, up 9 spots. These guys have gotten great wins in terms of track position, just by sort of being in the right place at the right time and getting that gain under safety car. Now, as far as how far they can hold it once we go back to green, which should hopefully be at the end of this lap, we'll have to wait and see.
Turmo's actually come, sorry Bagsy. Turmo's actually come out of this pretty well as well. He's into 9th, having having started 13th, been involved in 2 collisions that weren't his own doing, just wrong place at the wrong time. He's got the Aston Martin back up into 9th. So with guys ahead of him that dropped out for the splash and dash, that would have been 11th and in the train and still in the hunt.
So the people who pit on that lap just then, Foley and Ross didn't take tyres. John McDonald did put a new set of tyres on. So very small thing, but John McDonald's going to have some slightly nicer tyres to
Just
everyone else.
On that note, Bagsy, do we know if we've gotten more tyres allowed for this racing? Is it 2 hour, or are we still limited to the 3 sets that we've seen at other races?
I wasn't aware if there was a limit or not. I think is there a limit set in place?
A limit
I'm just
for...
not sure.
I thought it was 3 sets.
no, there's a 10-set tyre limit for the race weekend. Safety car is in. Safety car is in. So we're about to get a resumption here at the end of lap 13. So that now puts us probably in the mid to low 50 lap bracket for the race distance tonight. So Steve Bolger will bring the field to green. It is a line astern restart. Will Devonish is taking that quite, not so literally at the minute, waiting for an opportunity to seize on Bolger down into turn 1 if he goes. So the restart line is there, which is the normal start line for V8 supercars, and we are underway again. So Bolger leads the field away. It looked like there was a move being sized up by Luke Joyner in the back, and in fact there is. He's managed to get past Aaron Thomas. Good job.
And also Turmo got past.
Yep.
Same thing at the same time. And it looks like even more is going on further back. Liam Spencer this is trying to get that big boat of a Nissan past the big boat of a Bentley as they come over the crest at Mountain Straight. But yeah, once again, it's the 2 Lamborghinis.
Right, exercise caution. He's got to exercise a bit of caution here because he's already been done for a unsafe rejoin. So he's just got to watch himself here for the next little bit, Liam Spencer. Just ease back into this. Wayne Whitmore, another one of the newcomers to AMS Oz. So quite a few newcomers starting to get intertwined in a battle here. And I think is that, no, that's Matt Schwass tucked in behind. Ozrob's a bit further back. Pretty calm restart so far, gentlemen. Yeah,
for the moment though, but Will Devonish is all over Bolger's rear wing, is over Philamy and through onto Skyline. Devonish is looking angsty already, and we're only, what, 1 lap under green so far? Not even.
Oh, yeah,
as
he's right there.
Down. Yeah.
Something that we didn't really touch on, but Devonish had almost 20-second lead at the first safety car. So he was absolutely romping away at the front, and he's definitely the fastest car there today. So every bit of time he's behind Bolger is time he's not streaking away at the front. So you expect him to be passed soon, depends on. But I think Bolger will be absolutely getting his elbows out so that he can stop Devonish from getting so far ahead and have a chance later in the race.
He's got to be careful on the defence here, though. You're only allowed the 1 defensive move before you go into braking, and he's decided to try and defend early, and Will's just streeted him down Conrod Straight, just blitzed it perfectly off of Forest Elbow. Misses the apex into the chicane, though, but he's managed to pull it up. Now, Xeris is starting to come under some pressure from Pete Savage as well.
Say that Devonish and his car, he's apparently found a magical setup where it's fast in a straight line as well and not sacrificing speed in the corners either. It's beating everyone everywhere, and there's just nothing anyone can do about it. I don't know what voodoo he has used or who he sacrificed, but geez, the devil went down to Georgia and found Will Devonish wanting a car setup. That's what he did.
And yeah, he's found it.
Just observing that Oz Roberts coming in to serve a stop-go penalty. Now, there was a little bit of conjecture about why he ended up with a drive-through. So, the live steward has awarded him the stop-go for the incident at the top of the mountain. And I think following along in the live chat, I'm looking back to see who it was. It's actually Brian Walsh. Brian Walsh is actually, I think he's correct. Oz Rob got a pit lane speeding penalty trying to come in to serve the stop-go on the safety car, which of course you can't do.
It's just a calamity of errors there for Ozrob. It's unfortunate, but yeah, a good thing for him is, as far as the team standings goes, he's got two very, very well-placed teammates at the moment. So his indiscretions probably aren't going to affect his team as much as outside of his own race. I'm just having a look at the battle pack between what we got 11th through to the rest of the field here.
Yeah, I'm watching that on my other screen as well, and you're absolutely right.
Yeah, we've got Burko, Tara, Foley, Cracker all together. Foley struggling to make places through the field at the moment, even though after that pit, so see the track position. Brendan Ross also has actually lost the place
there's a bit of a
to John Dillon.
There's a bit of a damage, a bit of carnage here. Burko's hit the wall. Noah Tara was looking down the inside at the exit of the dipper, and that sort of distracted Burko a little bit, and he went well offline on the run to Forest Elbow. Now he's a sitting duck. Yeah, he's a big sitting duck. Like, it's 3 wide on the run up and over the top of the hill on Conrod Straight. This is nuts. Who's going to come out the other side with the advantage? It's going to be Brenton Foley.
Wow, 2 cars.
Big moment for Foley where he caught the curb at the chase and he's gone deep. He's going to have to surf it across the grass. Tara's going to go through. Burko's going to go through. His teammate and Cracker's nearly going to go through as well. That was a wild, wild moment from Foley. Let's go and have a look at that again. Here it is on the replay. 3 wide. Can you believe it on Conrod Straight? Just watch him grab this curb. There it is. Got too much curb and just unsettled the big Viper.
Yeah, and he didn't need to. He had the move made. All he had to do was get around the corner and brake it to a stop. But no, he hit the curb and that unsettled the car, and then he was off in the grass. And yeah, all that hard work he did, it came unstuck in an instant.
He's already gotten past Steve Burko, though, into the first corner, but the 2-for-1 special there for Foley, quickly taken back, returned to sender, and the address was Brendan Foley, no places for you. He's going to come back up to Noah Tara, though, who's now right on the back of Wayne Whitmore. So we could see the same thing happen again, going down.
Cracker wide in the background at the cutting as well. I think he just stepped out of the train tracks. And there's a bit of, I can hear some collisions going on with people with the walls as well, as panels are getting exchanged with concrete. I'm not sure where, if it was ahead of this group or if it was behind the group, but someone was giving the wall a bit of a rub. Foley there looking pretty racy as they come across through McPhillamy and into the skyline. He's caught right back up to this battle pack now. Are we going to see another 3 wide down the Conrod?
Oh, couldn't be spoiled twice in 2 laps, could we?
Oh, please. We're going to have to stay with this battle to find out now. This is... big moment for Whitmore. Well, that eliminates that. Now, did Tara get into Whitmore?
It looks like it because he's...
I believe so. He's given the place back, yeah.
Okay, so let's just have a quick sticky beak at that one again from the point of view of Wayne Whitmore again. Let's just look at it from here's the helicopter shot. This might tell us a little bit more of a story. Yeah. Got out of the tracks. Yeah, Tara tried to gas it up, and yes, there it is right there. Just very, very fractionally. Just a very, very slight little nudge. Oh, and that was a little bit of ordinary driving there from a few people all round, just as they were trying to avoid being hit by cars coming back onto the, or trying to get around them. Oh, there's also another accident. Cracker's gone round at the exit of the chase. I'm not sure if he was helped. While we were just watching that replay, he went around.
Nah, he just caught the curb. Nothing too sinister in that. He's just dropped him down the field.
He was battling with one of the Bentleys. So
yeah, I think he was battling with
McDonald. McDonald had a little bit of a look. That just gave... Oh, he got a hit. He got a hit from Noah Tara. So that's just a concertina effect again. So that one looks like it might be under some review as well. That'll be 2 for...
I say it's
for the Nissans.
It's hard to put that too much on Noah Tara there, just because there was it Brendan Ross? It was either Brendan Ross or I think it was Wayne Whitmore.
Yeah.
Who was checked up, who checked up there, and there's not much they could do. Totally unsighted, he would not be able to see that Bentley in front of him, and just he was following right behind. And unfortunately for Cracker, getting on the brakes, there was no reason for Taro to think that someone was going to be getting on the brakes as you're accelerating out of the chase. So I think you can't really put the blame on him there.
No, then Cracker's just had a little bit of a whack of the wall on the run up the hill as well, so he's just fighting a bit of a battle with that car right now.
You want to know what was hilarious about all that happening though?
What's that?
Further up the field, as soon as everyone started getting into each other, Turmo went off, and he's just gone off again. He's just tagged the wall at the exit of the elbow, and now he's going to be a bit of a cork in the bottle between himself, Liam Spencer, and Matt Swass as they come down Conrod Straight. Turmo's on the inside. Spencer is in his wheel track. Swass is on the outside. This is going to be very tight as they head into the chase. Spencer gets over Swass. Is he going to dive onto the inside of Turmo as well? He shapes for it, but doesn't quite get the whole way down there. So it looks like it's as you were. But yeah, as everyone was all kicking off behind, Turmo just had an innocuous lose and went straight on the chase. And yeah, lost positions. So even when it's not next to him on track, he's still getting affected by the stuff going on.
Word coming through from race control is that the Noah Turra and Wayne Whitmore incident at the top of the mountain warrants no further investigation. The penalty position was redressed, so there will be no penalty there. And likewise for the incident with Noah Turra and Cracker at the chase, there is also no penalty to be served there. Racing incident.
Look at this though, coming up Mountain Straight again. It's Aston Martin versus.
Feels like it's about to be a racing incident.
Aston Martin, Nissan, and Lamborghini. Spencer covers the inside. No, he doesn't. He makes a move. Makes a move on Turmo. Just got on the curb and got a bit of a tail wag going, but manages to hold it. Now that's plugged up Matt Swass, who's got Zach Ross right behind him to worry about, and they're going to go side by side. Swass got sideways in the cutting. They managed to file out the other side, but it was on for young and old at that moment there. Damn. How did they escape that without making...
Oh, Turmo's had a moment too. It looked like he might have got the wall on the run up the mountain as well as they came up and over the top near the Fujitsu sign, but he very, very violently moved to the right. I'm wondering if he tagged the wall there as well. He's had a little bit of a loose... Yeah, a little bit of a touch there.
Meanwhile, we need to cue the Jaws music because Foley is creeping up on this group of four, and you've just got the feeling that could be a massive incident between them. Turmo is really struggling, clipping some walls a little bit. Just lost his concentration slightly. It looks like Spencer's trying to line him up for a move somewhere here. But Foley's just absolutely in on the back.
Spencer gets the wall. Spencer gets the wall at the elbow. Foley came within a hair's breadth of getting the wall as well.
Ross is looking to make a Zach Ross, that is, making a move on Matt Schwartz as well. He's going for the inside. It's a drag race down Conrad Straight, and it actually looks like the Lamborghini doesn't quite have the legs on that Mercedes. They go flying into the chase. Who's braver on the brakes? It looks like it's Matt Schwartz, and he does that pretty much perfectly. Parked it right on the apex, and that's very well defended.
Great driving from both of them. Look at this. We've got Aston Martin, Nissan, Lamborghini, Mercedes.
Oh, there's a big wallop. Someone's hit a wall somewhere. I just heard it, and it's the Luke Joyner Lamborghini, I think. Yep, it certainly is. Looks like he got a wall somewhere on the right-hand side of the circuit. There was a huge crash that I heard. Let's see if we can pick up what happened to the driver of the number 7 Lamborghini. Here he is. Did he just carry a bit too much speed into the final corner? Looks like he might have outbroken himself.
Safety car.
Yeah, he's gone off, and the's a safety car. I'm not sure what that's for, Bags. You might have a bit of a sticky beak at that one. So this is an interesting time for another safety car. And
how does that resolve the Ross and Schwartz stuff? Because they were all side by side heading up Mountain Straight when that happened. So
the safety car is for John McDonald going to the back of Steve Burko going to the final corner.
Okay, so that answers that question.
Yeah.
Unsighted on the broadcast. So as we were having a look at Luke Joyner just getting it all out of control going into the final corner. So a little bit behind that, then there was another incident to go on to that as well. So, well, gentlemen, again, we pause for a little bit and we see what happens when the strategy element starts to unfold. Speaking of things unfolding, a couple of laps ago we missed this on the broadcast, but Pete Savage managed to slip past Xeris back on lap 17, so that puts him into the podium positions, but that hard work has now all come to to nothing, as it's pretty much put them back line astern again. And again, Devenish was checking out at the head of the field again, just starting to take a few tenths of a second out of Steve Bolger in second place, and he has had that lead basically nullified again.
Yeah, what's the point of working so hard to get that far ahead if someone's just going to crash behind you and bring out the safety car, eh?
All right, strategy element, gentlemen. The safety car will come out as the leaders cross the line this time around. Probably a bit too early to stop. Lewis Wedding is suggesting staying out for this one. I'm inclined to agree with this one. If you're down the order, you might gain you might be worthwhile coming in for a stop. There's no lap cars, so people at the tail end of the field have really got nothing to worry about, or nothing to lose rather. They can come in and take some service, put on a new set of tyres, put on some more fuel, and go on a contrary strategy to everybody else. But if you're at probably the top 10, I don't think pitting's the wise option here.
I think if you're anyone who is in that battle pack with Turmo down, probably Luke Joyner down, you might as well, you're not going to really campaign against the people in front on sheer pace. So you might as well take the roll of the strategy dice, because you're going to have a chance later on, and you could probably jump a fair few positions. I think someone like Foley, who's currently in 12th, might be better off staying out. Because we know he's got pace, but
Retirement.
Who knows? Maybe he will. I think he might come in just because he's back down the field, and lots of other people are probably going to as well.
Now, I just saw Steve Burko come into the pit lane while the pits were closed, and that's actually to retire. He's come in, and we saw the car pulled back into the garage. So that's unfortunately our second retirement out of all of this. Now, this man on screen here, Ozrob, the 555 Lamborghini. Well, all the penalties that he has just accrued, well, it's put him at the back of the field, but much the same way that this happened to Liam Spencer, all those penalties, well, they don't really mean much now because we're back under safety car and he can catch up to the back of the train.
Yeah, and there's no penalty as well for taking a pit stop as well if you want to put some fresh tyres on, get fueled up, sorry to interrupt myself, there's some argy-bargy coming down the mountain. I think, was that Liam Spencer just got into the back of Turmo, just in the S's there?
Yeah, there's a little bit of something going on.
The field must have checked up coming down through the dipper, and yeah, it looked like there was just some contact between Spencer and Turmo there.
Here we go. So ahead of them is Wayne Spencer, Luke Joyner, and they gassed it up a little bit. Oh yeah, the whole field checked up, and then Liam Spencer getting into the back of Turmo, and then Zach Ross was caught up in that as well. And I think that's just an inattentive driver, just not paying attention to what's going on ahead, or not predicting that the field was slowing up. Probably don't have their track map up to realise that the whole field was starting to concertina up.
Yeah, it's one of those things when it's unsighted down the mountain like that, you can get into situations where you don't see what's happening a few corners ahead, and then you come to a group of cars and they're all stopped in front of you. So yeah, bad luck for Liam Spencer and for Turmo, but it's just one of those things. And look at this, all the top.
Oh, here they come.
They're all coming in.
They are all coming in. This is
apparently zero people go to the Lewis Wedding School of Pit Strategy because
the only person that
him to take that strategy and chuck it in the bin.
The only person that has is one. There's a couple of cars that have gone around, so I'm just going to keep my eye on who they are as they come across the line here. So Matt Schwass has gone through, and Cracker has gone through. They're the only two drivers not to stop. Well, and he said Matt Schwass is going to have the race lead here. Cracker's going to go through. These guys will probably come in after the pit stops are all said and done, I think, which is probably the smart call, if I'm honest with you, given that they are now well and truly out of position to the rest of the field. Ozrob and everybody else has come in as well, I think. So, yeah, Steve Berger's out. Luke Joyner's in. Yeah, everyone else is in.
I'm amazed that no one who was in sort of 10th, 11th, 12th place decided not to go in here with so many other people in front of them going in, because that's just guaranteed track position. Those people... Even Devenish, who's really fast, is going to have to fight through to get track position, and you could have just quite easily not had to worry about that.
Yeah,
there's been some losses in pit lane, guys. Sorry, there's been some exchanges in pit lane. So Devenish and Bolger got out. Xeris has gotten back out ahead of Pete Savage. So too is Wayne Spencer. So again, the concertina effect at the top end of pit lane has caused some drivers to lose track position in pit lane. Pete Savage has lost 2 spots.
And another someone who's won out of that is Brenton Foley. He's basically gotten past that, jumped that entire battle pack.
Yeah, he
That was
has.
ahead of him because of having that shorter stop. Now, yeah, I agree with you. Not sure who said it between the two of you. I think it might have been Bagsy, in fact. How are you going to pass people by doing exactly the same thing that they are? I'm absolutely astounded that no one has decided, maybe even from that mid pack, to just stay out and take track position. Like, you know, if a Foley had stayed out, or if a Lewis...
For Foley, I guess he did have the best of both worlds in that he had a shorter stop, and so it wasn't so bad. But you think some of the other people who didn't come in on that lap, you could have really made some massive gains by just staying out and going a little bit further.
Yeah.
I was thinking that people in the midfield should pit because I assumed the front guys were going to stay out, but everyone's just thought, bugger it, safety car pit, safety car pit.
Yeah, it's a real head scratcher, really, because the next question that comes in from that, you're an hour and 10 minutes away from the end of the race. You know, that means a 35-minute minimum stint. That's not guaranteed to get you to the end, right? If you do 35 minutes from now to get to the end of the race, you do also have to remember that you've got +1 lap at the end of that as well. So it could be that we're, you know, looking at 37-minute stints from here on in if we get, you know, the leaders crossing the line with, 2 minutes 20 seconds left or something like that. So it's astounding to me that everyone's jumped at this. It doesn't seem like the smart strategy option. On the other hand, it means that come the end of the race, we have no idea what the hell is going to happen. So that's great.
Matt Schwass is in. So Matt Schwass is in, but Cracker has stayed out. And, going a little bit... he's gone deep at the first corner. Last corner. Just not paying attention again.
Unfortunately, it looks like we've had Noah Tara retire as well.
Please don't tell me that's a disconnect as well.
I'm not 100% sure. You guys might have to go back and have a check of that. But both the Taras, unfortunately, now out of this one before the half-distance mark. The Cracker, the only man not to take a second stop so far. Number 64, Viper. But corrected order is Devonish from Bolger, from Xeris, Wayne Spencer, then back to Pete Savage, Brenton Foley, who's recovered and moved up a number of spots. Then it's Zach Ross, Termo, Aaron Thomas, and Brendan Ross is the corrected order inside the top 10. Still plenty of runners out there at the moment, but Michael, you're obviously a bit disappointed that Noah Tara's out of this one.
Yeah, that was a disconnect as well. Exactly the same spot in the track as Greg Tara as well. So, yeah, that's just real unfortunate for both of the Taras to under safety car get booted from the race, going down the S's on a good strategy. Yep. That's a real shame.
Ozrob's come in for a second stop as well, so he was actually on in the first group of drivers that stopped on the second stage, and he's coming. Yeah, I think he's coming. Yeah, some repairs for him also. Probably a tyre stop and fuel as well. Top it off. He's at the back. He was at the back of the field anyway. So as we said before, he's got nothing to lose by coming in and trying to, run a little bit differently to some of these guys up the front, especially if they have to run a little bit longer. Now, the interesting part here, gentlemen, we're talking about 32-minute stints before. There's an hour and 7 minutes and change left in this race, a little bit more time to go under safety car. So they're going to be able to extend this 32-minute window by a couple of minutes. This, if it runs green to the end, this is going to be very touch and go for these guys at the front.
Oh, it'll be. Well, the thing is, we still don't know exactly how long they would have gone on a full tank, because we still haven't had a full unrestricted stint yet. We've had a safety car intervention at awkward times both times, so we still have no idea what their true fuel mileage is. Not sure if Wedding in the chat has an idea of what a full tank stint would have been here in terms of time, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. Unrelated, I think we should start sweepstakes on how many corners Cracker is going to stay in the lead.
I reckon if he gets to the cutting in the lead, he might stay there until Forest Elbow.
I think I'd probably go a little bit earlier. I'd probably say by the time they get to Skyline, I think is probably the best, because I think that the Lambo will probably just be right on its tail through McPhillamy Park and just send it down through Skyline and then down through the S's.
Pretty ballsy to make a move.
It's pretty ballsy, but there is bailout room there. That's why I said he'd probably go for it.
I can turn two-wing, rather Devney should be passed.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're going to have to wait another lap to
Find
out because we're going another lap under safety car. Bit of chatter in the live chat on the stream about Matt Schwass. A few people, me included actually, saying that he probably shouldn't have come in because where he was sitting second in the queue just prior to coming in after everyone had come in under safety car, down in 14th. So we've actually just had Brendan Ross and John McDonald come in for another stint. So every lap might as well just top up the tank. Yeah, what do you guys think of Matt Schwass's strategy? What would you have liked to see him do?
He really should have just stayed out, and we know he has some pace. He did quite well in terms of his qualifying pace was there. He's had some bad luck dropping down the field now and some bad strategy, but if he'd stayed out, I think he would have, especially with Cracker there, I think he would have had a chance to stay ahead of Devonish for at least a little bit, and enough that everyone behind him losing time and most likely having pit twice would have given him a really good run at the end of the race.
Yeah, that's a great point actually, because it kind of comes around to who are you racing, who you're actually competing against in this race. So if Swash had stayed out against the likes of the front runners, he'd still be gaining heaps of track position over the guys that he's more likely to be racing against. You know, those in the high top of the mid pack, which could get into their own battles and fall further behind. So yeah. I think it's a bit of a missed opportunity. I agree with you there. Maybe something if he comes back and watches the stream, he might rethink for a future race. Fingers crossed.
Just seeing in the chat as well, Steve Burko had to retire due to his back playing up a bit. So hopefully you're feeling a bit better there, Steve. And unfortunately, he had to retire from the race there after that incident. I think he decided probably wasn't worth it to continue on.
Yeah, he's been one of a handful of AMS Oz drivers that have had some illness and that in recent weeks. So he's had his back. We've also had Heath Dixon, or Goofball Antics as he's known in ARW circles, with a stint in hospital in the last couple of weeks as well. He was looking forward to contesting tonight, but withdrew. So I hope you're on the mend, Goof, and we'll hope to see you back out there soon. Likewise, Xeris up in 4th place, missed last round. Had a bit of a stomach bug or something. I'm not sure if he ate something that disagreed with him or that, but no, he was quite ill and had to miss the 60 minutes of Spielberg. So, but good to see that he's back out there as well, and no symptoms remaining of that illness. I think we're about to go racing again here, gentlemen. Let's go back to the head of the field and let's see where how Cracker handles this pressure on the restart.
Yeah, this would be, not sure how many times Cracker has led the field off on a restart, but he's got some of the big hitters immediately behind him.
Oh, yeah.
Interestingly, Wayne leaving just a little bit of a gap between himself and Xeris. Yeah, not sure if that's to try and maybe get a run or just try and defend from Peter Savage behind, but we'll see how that plays out as they come around the last corner.
Yeah, now what's Wayne Spencer doing? He's been given a race control penalty for being out of position, so I think I'm not sure what's going on here. He's engaged the limiter, but he's been given a race control penalty, so the live steward's going to have a bit of a look at that one just to see what's going on. But we're under a restart here, and away we go. So across the line, you cannot overlap. You need to be behind the person you're dealing with now. Wayne Spencer is actually centred, I think, on Pete Savage. It hasn't quite come off. So he's in the position where he was supposed to be, but for some reason, he just looked like he'd checked up offline for some reason on the run to the final corner. So Mike Coulston, our live still be looking at that. Here goes Devonish on Cracker. So it only lasted 2 corners. So
Bagsy was right.
Bagsy was right.
So
I
have to collect my winnings now. Thank you.
we weren't paying odds. We never shook hands. But now this is a problem because Bolger has not been able to do the same. And now this is what you were saying, Michael. Up from the cutting onwards. Oh, Cracker's had a bit of a moment and he now goes, oh, that's a bit awkward side by side with Bolger. Bolger decides the discretion's a better part of valor there and checks up, which is probably the right thing to do, and just sit back on the coattails of the SRT and wait until you get a much better opportunity. Xeris is now right there as well, so that's been a bit of a lose-lose for Bolger in that situation.
And it's been a big win for Devonish. Look at that. It's already 2 seconds that he's got over the field as they plunge off of Skyline down through the S's, around the Dipper. Everyone looks to get through very nicely. That battle pack, it's the top 4 really that, well, the effective top 4 that is really going to be where everyone is. It's already spread out behind. And yeah, now we get down to the elbow. Cracker actually didn't get too bad of a run there, but Steve Bolger is in the slipstream and he's hunting down the rear of that Dodge Viper. Pulls out of the slipstream just before the hump in Conrod Straight. He's going to be on the inside for the chase.
Oh, side by side. And they
gets it done nicely.
There was another move happening back there as well. If I look a bit further afield, so Foley, Wayne Spencer and Zach Ross were exchanging blows on the run to the chase as well. Foley's come out and held on to 6th place, and Wayne Spencer's gone a bit backwards. Now I think, here's a move being made too. After actually feigning some moves, Aaron Thomas feigned a move on Turmo, then likewise Liam Spencer thought he'd have a go at Aaron Thomas, and the door was very, very firmly shut. Now Matt Schwass, I think I'm looking back here, is having a go on Luke Joyner down into the first corner. That's a move for position, so that was Matt Schwass, the last man who came in to do a proper stop before all the others came in for a top-off. Ozrob has moved up to 14th by virtue of the other drivers that came in later on in the piece toward the back end of that safety car. And now we've got some overlap between the two Lamborghinis on the run to 2.
But Xeris is really having a go at Cracker at the moment as well.
Yeah,
almost side by side through the cutting, and he had a look into turn 2. But Cracker, the reason Cracker's staying out, it was such a good idea, and he's the only one who stuck with it. He's in 3rd at the moment, and sure, he's being absolutely handled by the people behind him. But as he hits the wall as well, hopefully that hasn't caused too much damage for him. But the people he was fighting, your Turmos, your Spencers, your Schwasses, they are 5 or 6 seconds behind him now, and they still have to do the same amount of pit stops. So this is just going so much better. While the others will have to stop for a bit less time, and Cracker will probably be stopping the next 3 or 4 laps. He's going to have some clear air, so he can just run his race, and he's going to be able to have some fresh tyres too, to just pump in laps by himself. And there's every chance he's going to end up a long way ahead of these guys who he was fighting.
And it's a great play from the BC Racing crew, because look who's on the tail of it right now.
Oh yeah, Brenton Foley, he's coming for it as well. Now Xeris needed to time his run out of the elbow to perfection. He hasn't done that as good as he needed to. He's still a few lengths behind this Viper. He's going to have to really commit hard to the chase. There he goes, gone for the inside, and he's got it done. That's a great pass.
And further back as well, a BC Racing teammate.
Ran the outside as well, same spot. Oh, Zach Ross has gone flying off at the chase as well, so that's just a complete miss of the braking marker. He's gotten back on safely, so that's not... But now he's going to surrender position here. Yep, so he's going to surrender position.
I think Cracker might have been... It was because Peter's pulled off the side of the track, so I'm wondering if Peter got into the back of Cracker.
Let's just have a look at this on the replay then, if you're looking at Cracker. So there's Foley completely sideways almost through the chase. Zach Ross went off in the back, and Peter got into him. That's that's a big hit actually. I'm not sure what happened there. Wayne Spencer having to check up behind. Now Peter was trying to redress position, but Wayne Spencer got through
but then Wayne Spencer went wide at the first corner, and he's lost 4 positions now. He's behind Zach Ross, so he lost to Cracker, Peter, Aaron Thomas, and Zach Ross. So he's down in 9th. That's an absolute horror first quarter.
So I think the redress of position is going to be okay for Pete Savage there, because he's given that spot back, so he won't incur a penalty. Yet to see whether or not the out of position penalty awarded to Wayne Spencer has been removed or not. Just waiting to see if the live stewards had anything to say about that, but just waiting to hear back.
Nothing yet. So nothing about Wayne's penalty yet, but this has actually worked out great for BC Racing, because Foley's gotten through on Cracker and he's on the tail of Xeris, and Peter Savage is still stuck behind, and that train now, it's a full train.
Cracker's lost it.
Oh yeah. So I've got a yellow flag up there as a result. It's just been cleared quickly now. Confirmation coming through from race control that Wayne Spencer's penalty for being out of position was indeed revoked. So that's a lucky break for the Ferrari driver. He's in this little sandwich right now that's headed by Aaron Thomas. Then you got Zach Ross, who went off at the chase just a lap ago. Then back to Spencer, Turmo, and Matt Schwass. So very, very angry tail end of the top 10 here. And have a look. Here goes Zach Ross on the BMW. No, left a bit of room, but not enough room to commit. No, still enough room to go around the outside.
And Liam Spencer had to go defensive against his father just a bit further down the back.
I actually think that's a position gain. I think that was a position gain there. I thought that Wayne Spencer was actually ahead. Actually,
There you go.
Let me confirm that and pick that up. Yes, it was.
Oh, no.
Or Ross and Thomas getting right into each other too.
So we're just watching the position gain here. Yeah, there it goes. There goes Liam Spencer through at the chase.
And Ross has gone around the outside into turn 1, so unfortunately that we missed that on the stream. But yeah, Ross, Thomas, Spencer, Matt Schwass, Turmo, and Ozrob is that pack now. As Ross, he went around the outside at turn 1, but now Thomas has got a better run as they go down Mountain Straight again over the crest. They're going to go 3 wide into turn 1 here with Liam Spencer getting the eyes on as well.
Oh, there's a
That's a
contact.
touch.
Yep, there's contact. And look at this train. This is getting longer and longer by the minute. Look how many cars are in shot. It's about 9 cars in shot. This is going to be an absolute calamity if there's a major collision here. They've got to all behave themselves, but they're playing for sheep stations at the minute.
Virtual sheep stations.
Virtual sheep stations.
So yeah, they're gonna maybe just calm down as they head over the top of the mountain because they're all nose to tail. This is 7, 8 cars at the minute. We've got a BMW, AMG, Nissan, Ferrari, 2 Lamborghinis. Oh, that was Ozrob into the wall at the metal grate, but he seems
Oh,
to be
Schwass
alright.
and Wayne has got together, and Wayne's off.
All right.
He's off into the sand trap. How's he rejoin?
That's not too bad. Oh, he's come on right next door to
Oh,
the
no,
man of
it's-
people, Turmo.
Turmo.
So Turmo's good third time lucky. Spencer's out of all sorts coming down the dipper. Let's just go back and see if we pick up what happened to Wayne Spencer. So he was tucked in there behind his son. And then, yeah, there's Ozrob in back a shot. Schwass sent it. Oh, that's a bit of a day late and a dollar short, I think, from Matt Schwass. And
Wayne has had
there's been no redress of position there either.
How many
Wayne's had a
moves?
horrific last 3 laps.
Yeah, you could say that again. As I'm watching Thomas versus Zach round 2 as they come through the chase. This time, Zach Ross gets the upper ground and makes the move quite comfortably.
Oh no, Matt Schwass has
Oh,
got
big
into
collision!
Liam
Yeah,
who's
big
gone
collision
into
at
Thomas.
big collision at the chase. We could see another safety car. There's been a coming together. Turmo's around again. 3rd time he's been involved in something. What on earth unfolded here?
Oh.
So Turmo again was back in the pack. So here's Liam Spencer that we're watching on screen. So there was Aaron Thomas and Zach Ross up front. Matt Schwass has tagged. Yeah, Matt Schwass has tagged Liam Spencer, who's tagged Aaron Thomas, and then Turmo. What on earth happens to Turmo there? Something went on there,
Safety car.
and then we got another safety car. So that was
the
avoidable.
Turbo one was an entirely separate incident where it looks like Luke Joyner came on the inside of him behind Wayne, got up on the curb, and that checked him up a little bit, which shoved him into Turmo. So Turmo once again has been the victim of something that was not his fault, and I don't know how many. I guess he just went into a hall of mirrors with grenades and just had fun.
Oh,
You're right. Someone's just lobbing hand grenades at the chase here. That's been the sight of 2 of the 3 safety cars so far. As the whole field files back into line, as we pause yet again and we start to ponder strategy. Now, this time, I don't expect there to be as many takers because we only came in, I think, on about lap 23. I think we went back to green flag racing.
Oh, I don't know.
And you've still got to, regardless, even if you come in now, you still have to make another stop to get home from here. You cannot make it from here.
I would say, maybe if you're a Spencer who's had a bit of a shit few laps, just come in, get some tyres on, get out of the mess.
They're the exceptions to the norm, I think you'll find.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
think-
there is a school of thought to just pit at every safety car. Like, I think if you maybe a Peter Savage or if you're a Zach Ross, just pit at every safety car. Like, what's the worst that could happen? Might as well, right?
The biggest thing here, I think, will be: do you think you can make it on one stop with the fuel you'll save in the safety car period? Because time's still ticking away. We had the pit stops at about 8 minutes to the hour, so that was 16 minutes ago, thereabouts.
Yep.
Why not? We're going to have 4 laps, and really it's going to be closer to 5. It's going to be an extra lap just because of the time they take going around to catch the safety car. So maybe if you have done those pit stops at the hour and 8 minute to go mark, you might be able to fuel save it to the end on one more stop. Just don't stop here. See if you can make it through to the 30-minute mark or thereabouts, and then take your final pit stop, go for full fuel and tyres, and head on your way. We'll find out once they get around to the end of this lap, but I think there's a good chance that we might have a 50-50 split between people who decide they can make it to the end on one stop and people who want to guarantee they're only going to need one more stop.
Yeah, good call. And yeah, I think that's exactly right. You could, and if you've been smart and if you've been trying to fuel save already, you'd definitely be in a better position to do that and get to that point from here. I just want to bring us back a little bit. Thoughts on the incident? Who do you think was at fault for that? It looked a little damning if you're Matt Schwass. But I think this is similar to the issue we had with Ozrob's incident last week, where because Spencer moved to try and make a move on Thomas, it kind of left Matt Schwass with nowhere to go because Matt Schwass was already committed to that braking zone. So it's a bit of a 6 and 1, half a dozen the other for me. It just kind of exploded into a calamity afterwards. What are your thoughts?
I think it's more on Matt Schwass because he was locked up and checked up, and I think he was just a bit late on the brakes there when he didn't really need to be.
Yeah.
And there was, there was clearly stuff happening in front of him, so he probably should have seen that and thought, I'm going to be a bit circumspect here and keep everything nice and calm. But he's sort of tried to capitalize on a position that he shouldn't have tried to capitalize on. There's every chance if he just let it go, he would have been able to get through on those guys quite easily because they were battling very hard. But he sort of saw the fire and
there it is. Well, it says 1 second stop-go penalty. I think that may have been it might have been an error. It's meant to be, I think it might be a 10-second. I'm not sure what's going on there. But I was about to say that incident was under review by the live steward, and there is the end result. It says a 1 second stop-go, but he won't be able to serve it on this lap, and I think it's actually been changed now to a drive-through. Something must have just flashed up on the screen. But he does have a drive-through penalty. I was about to say, actually, that I suspected that would probably be what it is. It wasn't to the same nature as some of the other stop-goes we've seen for the seriousness of the incident. But what is going on again?
Everyone, are you serious? These guys, are they using
except for Peter. Peter has stayed out. I'm wondering if he's had a direct line from Lewis Wedding saying,
probably has.
if you don't start following my pit strategy, I'm going to find you and I'm going to do mean things to you because everyone else has ignored it.
Yep. So Pete Savage, and there's a lot, obviously, and John McDonald's gone around as well. So that's 2. And yet again, we have a look at pit lane here from our telecam, and we look in at Brenton Foley. So
John McDonald can almost certainly make it on one more stop because he and Brendan Ross were the ones who pit on lap 22.
Now here's the end of pit lane. So Brenton Foley was in about 4th or 5th when he came in, I think. And have a look at the sandwich back there. You got Bolger, Ozrob, and Schwass all fighting over the same bit of pit tarmac. Bolger getting ahead of Devonish. That's the 3rd time that Devonish has been beaten out of pit lane.
You'd think he'd pit not with everyone else then.
Exactly. You thought he would have gone the alternate strategy and stayed out, but he's...
Either Bolger's got much better fuel economy than Devonish, or he's just putting in a little bit less fuel each time just so he can get that track position and try and stem the gap that Devonish keeps making on him.
But the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
That's right.
Honestly, this extra pit stop doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. These guys... I'm not...
This is precisely what I was saying. It's precisely what I was saying. It's a case of, as Wayne Whitmore now gets a drive-through penalty in the second Bentley, that'll be for a pit lane speeding infringement. It's insanity. And one of the things that makes it more insane is there's winners and losers in every sort of pit stop sequence when it comes to safety cars being involved. Ziris has lost out as well. He was up there in the top 4 spots. He's now back behind Brendan Ross, who started to finally make his way forward. As we allude to, he started at the rear of the grid very, very early, whether he went off or whether he just dropped to the back of the pack. But he was originally scheduled to start in 8th. He was down as low as 19th on the opening lap. Hasn't he managed to stay out of trouble and find his way forward?
Yeah, actually, stay out of trouble is the best way to put it. I don't think I've said his name this entire race because he's just
flying under the
stayed
radar
out of everything.
He's flying massively under the radar.
Yeah, him and Luke Joyner as well. He's up into 8th spot as well, so not too far away from the back of Brendan Ross. Yeah, they've just not been involved in any battles, just kept to themselves. Not been involved in anything. It's just been a nice, gentle, easy race for the two of them, and they find themselves in 6th and 8th with 45 minutes left.
So Cracker, the only person who's done 2 stops so far.
Yeah,
and
correct.
Peter
Everyone else
as
has done
well.
3 or 4.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, of course, because Peter did the pit.
And Cracker
This
actually
time.
came. Yeah, Cracker's only done 2 stops and came in. Whereas, and this is the thing, everybody is now, even though Cracker has done 2 stops, everybody else has done 3, but they're all on exactly the same fuel strategy here. As Brendan Ross tries to fake out a few people going into the pit lane, that's not going to work.
Yeah, and that's the thing that really baffles me, right? If you're the way that you're going to beat people, you might not have the right, the pace advantage against, or
Hey,
the
Matt
way-
Foss is pitting again.
Oh, Max Ross.
Again-
Yeah, I thought he was actually trying to serve his drive-through, but he's not going to be able to do that under a safety car
Safety car,
period.
yeah.
So, but I think he's probably realised that if I'm watching on the other screen just to see what he does if he comes into the lane. Yes, he does. So he's coming into the pit bay and taking some service. I think topping off the fuel. That's all he did. He's come in and. Even though it says it's for a stop-go penalty, I think he's just taken on a bit of fuel and he's on the move again. That's just, again, to give him that extra insurance policy if it goes green from here.
Like, I can understand that. If you've already committed to that strategy, might as well. If you're at the back of the field, do it. Come in, top off, that's fine. But you're not going to pass people by doing the same thing as them every single time.
That being said, tell that to Brendan Ross, who is in 6th, having pit 5 times so far.
Oh,
So,
it doesn't make sense.
It's working for Brendan Ross. He's pit 5 times. He's taken tyres at 3 of them. He's pit on the 2nd or 3rd lap of the safety car every single time. So everyone has been just pitting on safety cars, and I mean, I guess it'll work. The only reason I would pit at this safety car that we've just had is if you were concerned about not making it on one more stop. You have to pit here.
But the problem is,
I think everyone's strategy has been ruined. Everyone's strategy meant they had to pit here because they pit at that last safety car instead of rolling the dice, which they should have when everyone else came in. It's very easy for us to do this from here, though, because we're not driving, we're not thinking about all the other things you have to think about. But sometimes you think, just go for the contra strategy and give it a go.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? The more people that go on the same strategy, it means the less viable the alternate strategy becomes. Because, Peter Savage, smart move there. He's gained all that track position. But Steve Bolger and Will Devonish are only 2 cars back. That's because everyone else has done the same thing. No one else has thought, hey, I might get an advantage here by staying out. So, because everyone sees the leaders go in and goes, oh, they're going in, I have to go in, it means that the people who are using their brains miss out. That annoys me because I would be one of those people who stay out, and I would get pissed off at everyone behind me going into the pits, going, what are you doing? You're ruining my strategy when I'm trying to get an advantage here.
One of the other drivers that didn't stop on that pit stop sequence as well was John McDonald. So he started pretty much the rear of the grid. It was like second row from the back.
On lap 1, he was 41 seconds behind. And now he is in 2nd.
And he's a pro-am driver.
He could have a
absolutely
horrible next few laps and still be further ahead than he was. So it's an excellent call. Why not do it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
You've gained almost 18 positions basically for free. And also the fact is he's pit 4 times. He pit on lap 22, which was the second last lap of the safety car. So he has fuel for he only needs one more stop.
Well, here we go again. So he's no slouch in a supercar as John McDonald, as Ozrob gets a 10-second stop-go penalty, and that's probably for being in the wrong position in the queue again. So the live stream will be looking into that one, as we'll get a restart here. Now, as I was saying, John McDonald's no slouch in a supercar or in Super 2 series, but he might. I'm not sure how he goes in GT3, as there's already overlap between Devonish and Bolger. Devonish timed that to perfection at the line. And Bolger closed down on Foley as well around the corner as well. So Bolger losing out at the start. John McDonald's going to try and go with Pete Savage here. I was about to say John McDonald could potentially be a bit of a disruptor here for Pete Savage, depending on what happens with Devonish and Bolger.
Bolger's coming back to Devonish.
Yeah, Bolger's having another go. He wasn't very happy with that restart and commands a little bit of space on the inside of Griffins. Devonish got the rear hanging out around the right-hander, but he's going to hang on. He's going to hang on.
So as you were between Devonish and Bolger, then it looks like losing that position in the pit stop doesn't really bother Devonish if he's able to get it back on track immediately. Now we've got a bit of a battle pack looming between Ross, Xeris and Brenton Foley as they come over Reed Park.
Yep, here they come. So here comes Foley in the Viper. Xeris in the Mercedes, and in between them, the Bentley of Brendan Ross, who's kept out of trouble, done the right thing. just minded his own business for the whole entire race and just gone about it really, really well. Probably one of the better races I think we've seen him drive in GT3, having gone from pretty effectively rear to the top 10 over the course of an hour and 20 minutes or so. Live Shield confirming that the Ausrob stop-go penalty that flashed up on the screen has indeed been rescinded, and that was a very similar thing to what happened to Wayne Spencer on the last safety car restart.
Look at McDonald.
Here we go.
Now.
Yep, it's on. It's on at the front, so... Oh, McDonald's not letting it go either. He's just slotted right in between the two Lamborghinis. So, again, there's a disruptor in play. McDonald sends it. He doesn't want to give this up. And he's gone right through the chase and across the grass. He'll have to give that back. So,
and Foley's off in the background as well. I think that was as Bolger returned to the circuit, he got affected Foley, who's now got Ross
got ahead of Xeris as well.
No,
Ross was already ahead of Xeris.
Ross was already ahead of Xeris. So that's maintaining the status quo. Geez, John McDonald didn't want to give that up at all, and here goes Bolger. Finally says, okay, I want a bit of space here, please. And now it's going to be a bit of a drag up Mountain Straight.
Apparently, Walshy's in the chat, Brian Walsh, for those who haven't met him yet, saying John McDonald's using a controller, so impressive work from McDonald here as he's dragging up the back.
Here comes Foley, it's 3 wide up Mountain Straight, it's 3 wide up Mountain Straight, and it's going to be filed into. Foley's going to gain a position, but he's gone wide, he's rubbed the fence.
And then that's going to invite Xeris and Brendan Ross.
And Xeris gets the pace.
So Xeris has actually made 2 positions there because he's passed Brendan Ross as well up the Mountain Straight. So now in the background as well, there's Wayne Spencer and is that Luke Joyner getting into it? This is all going off all at once.
And Bolger's finally managed to clear John McDonald, so now he can set off in pursuit of Will Devonish, who in turn is setting off in pursuit of Pete Savage. I did say McDonald was potentially going to be a bit of a disruptor to the race for the back half, and he certainly is. He's doing really well to try and hold his own, but he's just got to learn to park his car a little bit better. That's a little bit better on the run to Skyline. There's no way through there. And again, now it's all about setting it up from the exit of the elbow for the likes of Xeris and Foley and Brendan Ross behind and try and out-drag the Ferrari down to the chase.
I'm very impressed that John McDonald is using a controller. He's doing quite well considering.
It doesn't look like he's trying to use a controller.
It was already doing pretty decently and making some good strategy calls, but he's, Xeris hasn't got past him just yet, and Xeris is not a slouch when it comes to driving. So the fact that he hasn't lost that much time. Here we go. You're going to pick their outside.
McDonald's committed to the inside here. Xeris is going to go right round the outside and picks up the place. That's a very, very good move. And Foley's trying as well, and then McDonald realises he's there and just gives him a little bit of space. And then McDonald's lost 2 places. Rossi's going to try and ram him up on the grass. Bit of flashing of the lights there. I'm a bit worried that Rossi...
I don't think that's not...
McDonald's gone deep.
Fault.
McDonald's gone deep at the final corner anyway.
Outside, and McDonald was taking the natural racing line, so that's not anywhere near McDonald's fault. Ross was being very, very opportunistic.
That manoeuvre at the chase. Spencer's very wild in the background off of Hell Corner.
Yeah, he's not enjoying that first corner after these restarts. I wonder if he's struggling getting heat into the tyres or something.
Yeah, he definitely isn't. Live Shield confirming that the incident between Devonish and McDonald, where McDonald sent it at the chase to try and hang on to that position, is deemed a racing incident and no penalty will be issued. McDonald's probably had his comeuppance, I think, as well. He's been shuffled back to 7th, but still, he's pretty much doubled the positions where he's from where he started to where he is right now. So, one more stop to go from here. What are you oohing and ahhing about? You're making stairs noises here, Flood.
Liam Spencer and Aaron Thomas, they're resuming their battle from early on. Liam Spencer tried to dive down the inside of the cutting just as Aaron was turning in. That was almost a train wreck just as they were coming through the cutting. But now that's a battle pack for 10th with Luke Joyner just ahead of them. So that I've had my eyes on that, and that's just crazy stuff. The 2 big cars versus the little Lamborghini ahead of them.
Luke Joyner looking like the sort of person who doesn't replace his divots at a golf course, judging on the sides of his car at the moment, because they are absolutely caved in.
Yeah, plenty of damage on plenty of race cars tonight. Body damage can't obviously be repaired in the pit stops, but the likes of the suspension stuff and the steering lock and all those sorts of things definitely can. Let's just settle down for a minute here. Guys, let's cast our minds a little bit further forward if we can predict the future here. Final pit stops, when do we expect them to be?
It could be any time now.
So
pretty much, I think any time if you pit the next little bit, you go home.
Oh, he's just managed to save it from position 5 at the chase. He was on the inside of Xeris there, got all over the curb, and almost spun it, and managed to just hold on.
Before we go back to pit stop stuff, let's have a bit of a look at Foley's sideways action. We know he's akin to getting the rear end of a car out. He loves the drift machines, and he was following Xeris through the chase. Decided to have a late lunge. Xeris saw him coming and just caught a bit of curb, and that's a good save. That's a really good, solid save.
I was 100% sure he was going to end up facing backwards there. I don't know how he managed to catch that.
All right, we'll go to Bagsy now for a strategy update.
All right, so everyone pit, much to Vladdy's annoyance, almost everyone pit on lap 29 in the safety car. So 6 laps ago, it was the first lap of safety car, so we've only had 3 of actual green flag running. They're definitely going to have to pit again if you're, everyone, including Peter's going to have to pit again. Peter gained all this track position, obviously, without that. So he's going to have a longer stop. So Devonish is still in the box seat at the moment, given he is going to need a much shorter pit stop. He'll be able to just do a splash and dash, potentially not even take tyres, because the ones he has currently are quite fresh. So it'll be interesting to see. Another safety car will definitely change things up. A safety car from now onwards will advantage Peter slightly, because he'll be able to take his pit stop free of charge. Every chance that Devonish will still be ahead of him, though, given that shorter time. So really, it is Devonish's race to lose at the moment. We've seen him be fast all day, and doesn't matter how many safety cars you chuck in, and really how much strategy anyone pulled. I don't think anyone would be beating Devonish tonight.
Well, speaking of Peter and Will Devonish, here they are. Devonish has been honing in on the back of this Mercedes for the last couple of laps now. Pete Savage is doing times in the low to mid 4s, and Devonish is in the high 3s, so he's been taking a couple of tenths out a lap, and now he's right with the Mercedes, and I dare say a move is not too far away from being planted on that Team Antara by Loose Simsport Benz. Here it is, almost right now. Geez, that was a bit close. Devonish pulled out of that one very, very late in the piece, thinking there was going to be a gap there. He might try for turn 1, gets good drive off the final corner, but just a car length probably too far back. He'll just probably have to time this if he can maybe get his exit just right out of the first corner and out-drag the Benz and just get right in the wheel tracks. And here he goes.
Yeah, should easily breeze past as they come over the crest of Mountain Straight.
Oh, safety
Almost
car
neck and neck.
called right at the time that Devonish was about to make the move. So he's wisely pulled out of that. We'll have to quickly cycle through and see if we can find what that's going on for.
Luke Joyner and John McDonald at the final corner.
Okay.
It's just been absolutely cleaned up there.
All right, there we go. Let's get this on the replay. Oh, we're actually just catching the back end of this here. There it is. So if we just take our thing and rewind it back a little bit, which we normally don't do, we normally catch it here. So here it is, final corner. McDonald has come from a long way back, and Joyner just turning the natural line, and yep, cleaned up by John McDonald. I think that's going to be a slam dunk penalty. Oh, and Turmo was caught in the wrong spot yet again. Oh, and there's a massive issue for Joyner, just reversed completely into the path of Ozrob. And I think not only is McDonald going to find himself with a penalty, I think Joyner might have one coming as well.
Oh, wow.
I think it's hard to blame Joyner there, because he was sitting abeam the racing line and was trying to get off it, and was really going backwards is probably the best option there. And it was just unfortunate with Ozrob coming around the corner and taking the avoiding action he did. It's especially when you're in that position, it's impossible to see what's where. So really, what are you able to do about it? But yeah, definitely, I think John McDonald will get a penalty. And unfortunately for Peter, this is going to cost him a little bit, because he needs to fuel for longer than anyone else around him, and everyone will be coming into the pits.
Well,
Okay, so this is important. I want to have a moment here. So everyone who pits now will get to the end. Okay, you're in the pit window. Even with the safety car as well, you'll be. So you're gonna get that fuel. You're gonna get that time. You're gonna be able to pit here and get to the end of the race. Someone has already done that, and that's Liam Spencer. Just before the safety car was called, he came in the pits. So now he will be able to stay out while the entire field goes through the pit lane, and he will go straight to number 1 in the train. So Liam Spencer, A+ for thinking on your feet and getting in the pits right at the cutoff time. So he's going to be the one to watch. He's going to be the one at the head of the field. Everyone else will be able to get to the end from here. So it's a matter of who has the shortest pit stop time, which will determine how everyone stacks up under the safety car.
I think you're absolutely right, Michael. And as I was just about to say, that Live Stewart was investigating that final corner, and there is the end result. It is a 20-second stop go for John McDonald for dangerous driving into a hard braking zone. He has been awarded that. At this stage, no word on any others that were involved in that corner. As we saw, Turmo was caught up in the calamity for the 4th time. It wasn't even his own doing. Poor guy. He needs to. We need to like have an exorcism or something to get rid of the demons that are in that car by the end of this. Aston Martin can just not win at the mountain in real life, and they can't win at the mountain in the sim racing world either.
Just looking into chat, and Lewis is quite pessimistic on Pete's chances here. He reckons he'll drop out of the top 10 and possibly the top 15. I think that might be slightly overly pessimistic. We'll see what happens. But the fact is, everyone's still fairly spaced out. I think given that he's in first, he'll probably get the track position he already has won't cost him too badly. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. So he's also said in the live chat as well that they need to cue the Benny Hill theme music as well, which is kind of what I think is probably, thank you, Michael, I think which is probably what we can expect out of, or when we reflect on tonight as well. That's probably needed to be played a few times. Luke Joyner is being looked at for reversing unsafely when trying to rejoin the track. So I was right that it was being looked at. It's a bit and there it is. It's a drive-through penalty for Luke Joyner. I was a bit worried that was going to come out, and the reason I say that, Bagsy, I know you were a bit sort of circumspect as to whether he was going to get a penalty or not. It fits into the same boat that happened with Ozrob over the top of the mountain earlier in the race, where he was trying to turn around and then ended up reversing into the path of an oncoming car unsafely. So that's why I think that penalty's been applied, just to be consistent. Now, here comes the field. We expect everybody, and here they all come. No, Brendan Ross pulls out. Brendan Ross is going to bank on another safety car. That's a bold move.
But what happened? The question I have now with Brendan Ross, what happens if he gets that other safety car? What is he going to do? He's going to pit, and he's going to fall to the back of the field.
As Zach Ross has got a 10-second stop go. Sorry to cut you off very quickly, guys. He's just got a 10-second stop go. I'm not sure what that's for, whether that's being ahead of a safety car or something, or being ahead of where you're not supposed to be in the queue. That's a bit of a weird one. We haven't seen anything coming up for Zach Ross is being investigated for anything. So, yeah, colour me tickled pink on that one. I don't know what's going on with that penalty.
And
we've seen Matt Schloss has gone through as well.
Okay, so out of all the field, we're just watching Brendan Ross in behind the safety car. So he's gone through. Matt Schloss has gone through, and Liam Spencer has gone through as well. So what were you saying about Liam Spencer before? Actually, was he stopped?
Zach Ross has come out ahead of Will Devenish.
Oh, wow.
Oh, big one.
So
that's
Zach
a
Ross
huge one.
Has gone very aggressive on fuel, it seems.
So let's see how they come out of the pit. So we've got Brendan Ross and Swass who didn't pit, Liam Spencer who pit before the safety car, and then it's Zach Ross, Will Devenish.
Whitmore penalty for speeding in a pit lane. That's going to be a bad one for him.
Yeah. Brendan Foley now in 6th. Then it's Wayne Spencer up into 7th. So he's actually got ahead of Steve Bolger. So this has been a great run from Wayne Spencer through the pit cycle. Well done, Wayne. Then it's Xeris, Turmo, and Ozrob. So Ozrob gaining a bit in that pit cycle. Aaron Thomas, Luke Joyner, Peter Savage down in 14th. So
Lewis was right.
He wasn't too far off. And then it's Wayne Whitmore, John McDonald, and Cracker are the last 3 in the field. So we've seen a big mix-up now. So, you know, our front runners have been all day. Will Devenish, Brenton Foley, Steve Bolger, Xeris, and Peter Savage. You know, Devenish is only in 5th. So they're in 5th, 6th, 8th. 5th, 6th, 8th, 9th, and 14th. So, yeah, anything could still happen. We've got 27 minutes remaining, which could equate to, I don't know, 14 laps, 13 laps, depending on when we get going again.
Yeah, absolutely right about that. I think we've got 27 minutes on the clock. You take about a 2-minute lap, you're probably going to get somewhere about 12, 13, maybe 14 laps with the +1.
And the +1, yeah.
Yeah. So confirming the Zach Ross penalty has been indeed removed. It was an error on the server side. Sorry. So Bagsy, you can continue.
So amazingly, the person who has pit only 3 times has ended up back down in 14th from basically not pitting out all the safety cars. That's very unfortunate for him. That being said, Zach Ross has only pit 3 times as well, I believe. Actually, there may have been a 4th one that I missed.
Rossi comes in. Brennan Ross comes in now, so that removes that element from the equation.
Sorry, I missed Zach Ross's pit.
Yeah,
he just did. He didn't take tyres. That's why he saved so much time.
Okay, yep. So Brendan Ross didn't pit. He's just come into the lane. There's the hooter going off in the background. So that means that Matt Schwass, who didn't stop, has control of the field. So effectively, he does have to stop again. So your effective race leader at the moment is Zach Ross from Will Devonish, and Brenton Foley has just quietly moved into that. Yeah, I was going to say, where is Liam Spencer? Did he stop again?
No, he didn't stop again. He's dropped down the field.
Has he gone off, or something's happened to him?
No. Maybe he's been instructed to move further down. Maybe
Possibly.
because half the pit bays are ahead of the start-finish lane. It's gone, you weren't past them when they were past the start-finish lane. So he's actually been relegated to 10th. Oh, no. I was so excited that he'd done the right thing, and he got...
Well, just
absolutely canned by the game.
We're going to have a
I think he's actually going to be dropped back a little bit further, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's been confirmed by the live steward now. Position readdressed by the game.
Wow, that is bullshit.
Well,
okay, the question I have is how does the game decide that? He beyond them while they're all in the pit stop.
Well, it's going to be I think to do with where they were when the safety car was called. But by the same token, once you've cycled the lane, something is not quite right there. We'll have to have a bit of a sticky beak and see what happened after that one. That's a really interesting one out of all of
now
this.
He's even dropped down further than Peter Savage. He's going to be at the tail of the field. So if this is the game working on the lap count and going, all of these people had passed the control line before you'd pass them, that means that you've got to go behind all of them, and that is absolute bullshit.
Yeah, it's something weird's gone on there.
He should be behind Matt Schwass. Like, is there some way to fix that?
So he's had to go behind Cracker.
Is there some way to fix that, Mike, live steward? Is there some way to fix that? Because there's no way he deserves to be that far down the grid after making an amazing strategy play. This is entirely unjust. This is bull.
I'm having a look at my server in commands. I can't see anything, but Mike's going to have a bit of a look, and he is confirmed that he is having a look at that to see what happened. There might be a post-race change with all of that going on. We're going to have a look similar to what happened to Cavello, where we had to unravel how many drivers got penalties and all of that, but that's just really dealt him a cruel blow. You're right, Michael, that was going to be shaping up to be something quite nice out of all of that. And also seeing that it actually happened to Brock Harvey 2 races ago back at Cavello. So this is unfortunately what the game does sometimes.
Was it because he was in the pit lane when the safety car was called?
It's a possibility. It's a possibility. It might be something unusual that, the admins will have a bit of a look at the logs after this and work out what happened, and if they can prevent it again, they'll definitely do so. But given this is, I guess, a heavily modded game, we will have to be a little bit careful about what we actually do. The safety car is going to go around again, so we'll get a resumption on lap 40. Gents, I'm just going to produce a few stats here while we're under safety car. And Mike Coulston confirming that there's going to be a post-race review for that Liam Spencer situation. We've got 11 manufacturers in the game, in the mod, that have contested the race tonight. So let's have a run through them all. We didn't have any starters in the Audi. Audi, of course, won this the Bathurst 12 hour in real life. They've actually won it 3 times, 2011, 12 and 18. Mercedes, which we've got a couple in the field tonight, have won it in 2013. Ferrari twice, Maranello Motorsport, 2014, 2017. The very famous one with Nissan, with Katsumasa Chiyo in 2015. We've got Nissans in the field tonight. McLaren not represented tonight. They normally, I think Matt Williams has driven that car at the last round. They won it in 2016. We had a Porsche contest it tonight. They won it in 2019, of course. Bentley won it this year, contesting for the very first time. Manufacturers in our field that have not won the Bathurst 12 hour in real life, SRT or Viper, well, they've never actually contested the race, so that's a little bit of a different dynamic. Lamborghini, which is the dominant car in this field, has never won the 12 hour. Well, it might actually win something tonight, given the weight of numbers at the moment. BMW, Aston Martin, and then the sole Lexus that was in the field, which was Steve Burko, which is currently out of the race. Those 5 manufacturers have never won the Bathurst 12 hour. I know Lamborghini's probably won a few events in their time nationally, but SRT, BMW have won a couple. Aston, I think, probably won a couple. Lexus and SRT don't come to mind as any manufacturers that would have won any major endurance race, Michael.
Lexus were being piloted by the Emil Frey team, the Blank Pain Series, I think 2018. So I think they won a endurance round at, or might have been Nürburgring, I think. But they certainly wouldn't be the first choice that people think of. And that Emil Frey Racing team is a really interesting history to it. Actually building their own Jaguar XJR, I think, and contesting that in GT3. SRT was definitely a thing more so in the IMSA side of things, the American side of things. They had a GTE program, the GT Le Mans program, that won the championship in 2016, I think. So these cars certainly have pedigree, but as far as bringing them out to Australia, the truth is the Bathurst 12 hours only really taken off internationally in the past 5 or 6 seasons, and you know, the Lamborghinis, the BMWs, the SRTs haven't really been as big of a worldwide force and in terms of bringing them over to Australia in that sort of time frame. But yeah, there's certainly each of these GT cars has some pedigree behind them.
Going to get a resumption here on the end of lap 40. So with just under 20 minutes left on the clock, we're probably going to get about another, I'd say, probably 10 or 11 laps maximum. There's a couple of drivers coming into the pit lane in the back. That's Wayne Whitmore, another stop-go penalty. I think they're probably trying to come in and serve that penalty as we go to green. So too John McDonald. You can't do that, boys. You've got to actually do it once we go back to a full green flag. So here we go. Wayne Schwass leads the field away. Zach Ross moves back over on Will Devonish, goes a little bit defensive. I'm a little bit worried about the broadcast at the minute. I'm starting to see a few drops in the frame rate drops in the game, so I'm hoping that we're going to be able to hold out for the next 20 minutes. I'm very, very worried right now, but we might end up having to go to a radio show. Let's see if Devonish can make this passing move stick as they head up Mountain Straight, and he's going to get the move done. So he gets that job done on Zach Ross. And yeah, gentlemen, I think what I'm just going to do very quickly, while you guys keep an eye on things, I'm going to step away here. I'm going to have to sort something out here. This is something that happens time and time again with Automobilista, and we're struggling to actually get it to behave sometimes. So this is one of the things, and we're worried that this may have actually happened at some point.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, Zach Ross is already the cork in the bottle as he's getting by Foley on McPhillamy. Oh, not quite. And in fact, Foley just tags the wall there. So Ross is not taking tyres in that last stop. He's going to hamper his performance as we head into the latter stages of this race. But at the moment, it's still match wash from Will Devonish. Devonish already all over the tail on the Gravel Shed Racing Lamborghini. Then it's Zach Ross, Brenton Foley, and then Steve Bolger. So that's your top 5 at the minute as they dive into the Forest Elbow. Devonish already looking very aggressive, and he's got a great run out of the elbow in the slipstream of Matt Swash's Lamborghini, and he should possibly have this move made as they come over the hump on Conrod Straight. They're side by side, and Devonish has already made the move. So Devonish moves into the lead as he has been for so long. Zach Ross is still in the hunt there as well. He's not going to make a move on Swass, but it's currently Lamborghini, AMG, then the SRT Viper of Foley, and then Bolger. In fact, Ross has actually made a move for second place at Murray's Corner on Matt Swass. He's lost another position as well. Swass has gone wide at the final corner, and it's Foley on the inside. They go side by side down the main straight, and Foley takes third position. So it's almost as you were. And in fact, Bolger's going to go through as well. So it's the 4 has returned to basically as you were beforehand, except for Zach Ross in the place of Xeris, who's already immediately on the tail of that group.
Yeah, I'm watching this on the second screen. That's still, for some reason, tracking along. And you're right, Bolger 4th, back to Schwass in 5th, and then Xeris in 6th place. And Xeris just doesn't know who to go with right now. He's going to try and go round the outside at Griffin's, actually. That's similar to what Foley tried to do. And he's actually pulled the move off and made it stick. So that's a cracking pass from Xeris. He's now on the march. He wants to stay with Steve Bolger, who is trying to latch onto the back of Brenton Foley.
And Foley is latched onto the back of Zach Ross. Now, with Zach Ross not taking tyres, he's gained all that track. Problem is, he's got nothing to fight with. So Devonish has already cleared him. He's 2 seconds up the road, and he's acting very much as a bit of a, cork in the bottle, as I like to say, because he's got this angry battle pack of Foley, Bolger, Xeris behind, who are all on green tyres, all ready to make moves. And he's just acting very much like the real Triple Eight race engineering car that was at the Bathurst 12 Hour this year with Maxi Gertz behind the wheel. Same thing happened. Safety car. Oh, as Zach Ross gets a little sideways down the hill. Yeah, safety car. They didn't take tyres and they basically held up the entire field, which was what gave the Bentley the room to really open up that lead. And that paid dividends in the end. At the moment, that Bentley is Will Devonish out at the front. But Zach Ross is coming under fire from Foley. Now Foley going around the outside into the chase and gets it done before they turn in. So nice and easy from Foley there. Is Ross going to dive down to retaliation? No, he's not. So Foley into second now. And Bolger and Xeris 4th and 5th.
All right, we have live pictures back. We're just about to take you back to live pictures. Now, of course, the timing screen will have disappeared, so we won't be able to bring you that on the side of the screen, but we will be able to keep you updated as to where everybody's at. Of course, the timer says 2 hours there. There is approximately 15 minutes, 20 seconds remaining in this race. The leader being Will Devonish at the moment. We're actually watching the battle pack of 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. So Matt Schwass stuck on the tail of the Ferrari of Wayne Spencer.
And that's actually Wayne Spencer passing Matt Schwass to take that position. Schwass, remember, was at the head of the field, so he's already dropped to 7th position in this opening stanza. And Peter Savage is actually up to 10th, so he's just on the tail of this group as well. So great work from him at the restart.
Yeah, sure is. Bagsy, what are you seeing out there at the moment?
I was watching Zach Ross defending quite well from Bolger into the first corner. He just held the outside line into turn 2 and kept the traction, stayed ahead of Bolger, and he's really pushing him back into Xeris at the moment.
Foley's actually gotten ahead of them too, so this is very critical for the podium positions right now.
Yeah, well, we're seeing Bolger was probably going to be a lock for second place. He's clearly been the second fastest person all day, but just the way this is shaken out, and Ross being able to be, or Foley disposing of Ross much faster than Bolger's going to be. You know, there's not much time left. If Bolger can't get past him soon, then Foley's going to be able to bump away in second.
Let's have a look and see if there's a passing move shaping up from Xeris on Bolger. That hairpin Bolger the car stepped sideways on him on the run down to the elbow too. But he's actually got a pretty good run out of the elbow, straightened the line up, took a little bit of a different tactic. And now it's 3 cars all in a nice little neat train. Bolger decides to stick his nose up, looking at the corner for the right-hander coming up, which is the chase. Xeris is going to try and go with him. So they're going to be able to file through. They do. They both file through. And they both get through, but it's a side-by-side between the two Benzes. Xeris will have to leave some space, and he does. And that's good driving between the pair of them. But Xeris, it looks like he's going to prevail on this one. So good decision to go with Bolger.
I honestly thought Xeris was going to try and make it 3 wide on the front straight yet again there. And it looks like Foley may have had a bit of a sloppy last sector there, because the whole group that was battling there has actually caught up to him slightly. So we'll see how he keeps going there.
Yeah, great driving from both the Mercedes drivers there. Foley, as you mentioned, a bit of a slow lap. I just want to blow some air into Wayne Spencer's tyres. Sorry, he's up 10 places from where he started, and he's just kept his nose clean. He's the next car behind Zach Ross, but he's a fair way off. He's actually leading off that next battle group as Ross tries to dive down the inside of Xeris on return. What? They're going through Griffiths Bend side by side. Ross gives him a bit of a hip and shoulder as they go over the curb there, and Xeris has the inside line.
Good defense. Really good defense from Xeris there. Came back at him very, very hard and just committed to the cutting and heads off any possible fight back. Good driving from these guys from the last half a lap, and very, very good defense from Xeris. That's actually allowed Steve Bolger to get away and hunt down Brenton Foley. And in actual fact, if I have a look at Steve Bolger, he's right on the tail of that Viper now. So this is going to be shaping up nicely for a last-minute scrap in the closing stages for second and third. See back a shot. Xeris just trying to gap the fellow Mercedes, Zach Ross. That's probably one of the best results we've seen for Zach Ross, and one of his best drives we've seen for a little while as well. Definitely some drivers pulling some really good stuff. Bolger hanging the tail out. Xeris got the wall on the exit of the elbow too. Bolger
Everyone's playing for keeps now.
Oh yeah, Bolger is all over Foley. Out in front, Devonish is gone. Devonish, I think if I look at the lap counter, the timer has actually got a near 5.7 second advantage at the moment. Here's the move. Helicopter shot looking down at the chase. Not quite there for Foley.
Just a bit further back as well.
Sorry, Foley very sideways yet again. Bolger has managed to get past. Foley was not going to give that up easy, and the Viper was all sorts of sideways through the second to last corner.
Now, okay, this is interesting because Foley doesn't seem to be quick, but in return, Xerus is looking quite fast. Foley's last lap a 5.9, Xerus a 5.4. We got about 10 minutes and 55 seconds left in this race. Do we reckon the podium's settled yet?
I don't think third place is settled.
Yeah. I would love to see Xerus get onto the tail of Foley. A bit further back, Zach Ross and Wayne complete your top 6. Then it's Ozrob, Peter up into 8th. He's side by side with Aaron Thomas as they come down Mountain Straight. Matt Schwash has had a mare. He's dropped down to 13th. I think he's just gone off at turn 1. But
Yeah, I think he was pushed wide by Aaron Thomas.
Bit of game lag, little bit of game lag. I think that was a little bit lucky. I think I was a bit worried that was an internet disconnect too. That's just a bit of game lag for Pete Savage.
Yeah.
I think he's starting to have a few issues as well. He's one of the West Australian guys, so hoping that everything's okay from that point of view. And then inside the top 10, Brendan Ross, who, as we saw, came in late in the safety car piece, has found his way back up to 10. Peter gets the fence on the run up the mountain as well.
So this is 8th and 9th between Peter and
Aaron Thomas, yeah.
Yep. Just so next target for Peter is Ozrob, about half a second up the road, and then it will be Wayne Spencer, who's 2 seconds further up. The battle between Bolger and Devonish. Devonish's already got a 6-second lead. Let's forget about Devonish. That's not interesting. Bolger and Foley is about a second, and it's a second further back to Xerus in 4th. So that's where the intrigue is going to be for the end of the podium. And then the next question I have is, will Zach Ross be able to hold on with those aging tyres? Looking at Ozrob and Peter, Peter's already on the tail of Ozrob getting down Conrad Straight.
I was just about to say that Peter was doing some much better sector times compared to Ozrob ahead. Ozrob has actually found his way forward after all the penalties and stuff that he's had today as well, and the things he's been involved in. But this is going to be a very interesting dice because Peter's definitely got extra speed. Can he go the long way around? No, not quite. Not just yet, but it's not over and done with yet. Where's it going to be? Is he going to try around the outside? Is he going to flick to the inside? Ozrob's just driving it straight down the middle of the road. That's fair defence. He didn't move over. He's left the cars with. That buys Aaron Thomas into this, though. That has left the door open for him to make a move on Pete Savage and get that position back. And all the time, Brendan Ross in that Bentley is just sitting there waiting for these three to trip over each other.
That was unfortunate for Peter Savage. He had that move made and really was quite forceful in closing the door for him, on him rather. So he's got to do all that effort again to try and make that move. He's got 8.5 minutes left in the race. So this could halt his charge up the grid as we've only got, possibly 5 more laps.
Let's go a bit further back up the field and see what's happening. So Zach Ross has lost touch with Xerus in 5th place. So he's in a very lonely 5th place at the moment.
Foley and Xerus both walloped to the wall there.
Yeah, we just saw Xerus do it. So Foley, you just mentioned Foley just ahead doing it as well. Yeah. Both these men pushing very, very hard. Let's have a look at the lap times that they've been exchanging in the last couple of laps. So Xerus's last lap, if we look at it, was a 2-minute 4.7. And then we get over to Brenton Foley, who was a 2-minute 4.8. So not a lot separating this pair at the moment. Both realise what's at stake here, and it's the last step on the podium.
The gap's been pretty consistent between that group of 3 drivers, Foley, Bolger, and Xerus. Second them each as they come down Conrad Straight for the 46th time this evening. Zach, as you mentioned, Zach Ross and Wayne, very kind of lonely. And then there's this battle between Peter and Ozrob. Again, Peter very, very good off the tail of the mountain, and he's got Ozrob in his sights again for 7th place as they come down Conrad Straight.
It's like the Turbo almost got taken out by someone spinning yet again. Oh, God. It was very close, but he avoided it this time.
Xerus and it looks like we've lost Cracker as well.
Yeah, Xerus was a full 2/10 quicker to the second sector marker as well.
No! Peter's gone around on the exit of the chase. He's cleaned up Aaron Thomas.
Oh no! So there's another incident. So they've managed to both rejoin safely in this particular occasion. All right, so let's have another look. Let's see what on earth has happened here. So here is the run. So let's watch Aaron Thomas from his point of view as they come through the chase. So Peter was making a move a bit further ahead. And what's he done? He's just got himself... Oh, he got himself on the curb. Oh, and just spun back across the track. So Peter was making a move on Ozrob, I think it was, on the run down to the chicane. Now, we've lost our ability to see that the safety car is there on the live broadcast. So let's go back to live pictures here. Oops. There we go. And we are...
so we've...
back to the replay.
I'm not sure exactly how much time is left because we've lost
We got
my
6
game.
minutes, 6 minutes and 2 seconds is what we got left.
So is that going to be the end? Is that the end of the race then?
No, no.
So
This now changes everything. If you will remember, Bagsy, back to the one-lap sprint finish that we had at Monza back in the GT3 series, it means that if the timer expires when we are under safety car, we get one final lap. It is effectively a green flag, a green-white checker finish, if you were to use a NASCAR term. So that as long as my understanding is correct, and that hasn't been changed in between seasons, we are set for a very, very interesting finish to this race.
Wow, so after all this, after 2 hours, after strategy dramas, after safety cars, after incidents, after penalties, we get a one-lap dash.
Oh yeah, we get a one-lap dash. So now the next question is: you do not want to be. Sorry, my game's just playing up a little bit here. You do not want to be. You do not want to be coming in for a stop anytime soon. You have got to stay out and just deal with the car that you've been dealt with. Whatever fuel you've got, whatever condition your tyres are in, this is it. You're just going to have to gear yourself up for what lies ahead. 4 minutes 50 remaining on the clock. Safety car will be out. We'll get 3 laps under safety car, and then it'll be on. So we're actually just crossing to finish lap 47. So we'll go back to green flag, as I understand it, if the things work the way they are on lap 50.
I was thinking, I'm trying to remember exactly if that was just, if it was good luck in terms of that we just happened to be at that time in the race, or if it was actually the way the game set it up. So it would be interesting to see what happens here if we just, because I feel like we're just going to finish under safety car, but it would be interesting to see if we get a one lap dash.
Lewis Wedding's saying that it will be one green lap, so we'll see how we go. If we do get a green flag lap, this is absolutely going to murder Zach Ross, because he's not going to have any tyres to fight with anyone unless he somehow goes full send and gains a position, and then somehow manages to hold on. He's gonna struggle with the likes of Wayne Spencer and Ozrob immediately behind. As well, Peter Savage and Liam Spencer, 9th and 10th. They've managed to recover somewhat. You know, Peter Savage, probably looking to recover a bit more than what he's been able to. And Matt Schwartz, after starting this last stint, remember, at the head of the field after not taking that safety car, that pit stop under safety car, is now in 14th.
Now
he's taken a pit stop as well.
Yeah.
Now we've got I think a lapped runner in the middle here, guys. We've got Wayne Whitmore in between Devonish and Bolger here as well. Now this adds an interesting dynamic. Now I would hope that Wayne would just he's a lap down to the race leader. I would hope that he would just tour the pit lane and get out of the equation here, and let the guys race on. I think he might actually be about to, if he's a lap down to the leader, he actually might be able to execute the lucky dog here. He might be the recipient of a lucky dog.
It would have to be.
Which is what happened to Brock Harvey. So he's going to have to actually unlap himself from the field. So he'll get back on the tail of the field on the lead lap. I'm just waiting to see when the game actually gives that to him. This is one of the incidents that unfolded at the Cavello round, is that Brock Harvey did receive the lucky dog, and he didn't actually know how to execute it properly. So I hope that Wayne knows how to execute that. He just needs to be told he needs to go ahead.
I think that's a bit unkind to Brock. He got told literally a corner.
Correct. He did get told very, very late in the piece. So I hope that this game gives him a little bit more of a leeway here. Now, what's going on here? There's a bit of people faking each other out. There's no point faking each other out, gentlemen. You're all going to have to stay out anyway. So we'll wait to see how this one unfolds. I'm just watching the field make its way past the pit lane entrance. Now we look to our timing screen and we have a minute and 45 seconds remaining. So this is the second safety car lap as the field winds its way up the hill.
I have a question to fill in some time before we get going again.
Fire away.
Guys, driver of the race. Who do you reckon has been the driver of the race so far for you?
I mean, it's got to be. You can't go past Will Devonish. He's just had a dominant qualifying and dominant race. There's been no one near him. And the only reason anyone's near him is because of all the safety cars. If there'd been no safety cars, he would have most likely won this race by more than a minute and a half. He would have lapped a good chunk of the field, and no one would have got near him. So 100% Will Devonish for me. He just couldn't get it. Even if he doesn't win the race after all this, it'll be because the safety cars just had their way with him, and he made a mistake in the very last lap.
Fair enough. Nether, what about you? Who's your driver of the race?
Well, I'm looking through the field at the moment just to see where Turmo is, but he's down in the mid-pack, so I would have thought if he was actually managed to get himself inside the top 10, he would have probably been my driver of the race, just given how many times he had to extricate himself from a mess that wasn't his doing tonight. I can't go past Will Devonish because every time that we've had safety cars and we've had pit stops, he's come out behind somebody else, but he's always managed to very quickly assert his dominance and get back to the lead of the race, only for it to be wiped out again. So I would hope that he's able to hold this to the checkered flag when it all goes green. In actual fact, if he does, he'll be the fourth different winner in 4 rounds.
Brilliant.
Which will spice things up quite nicely, and if it stays the way that it is on track right now with Devonish from Bolger from Foley, it'll mean that Bolger will still have the advantage over Brenton Foley, but Will Devonish will start to close that margin down. Now, I'm just noticing as well that Wayne Whitmore has indeed been given the lucky dog. It was just communicated to him in the live chat that it may actually have popped up for him, and he knows how to execute it, which is good. He's taken off ahead of the safety car. He'll catch up onto the back of this train, which means he's going to finish on the lead lap.
And importantly, now we are at zero time remaining, so
Correct.
the time has expired. So we will find out in only moments what the heck is going to happen at the end of this race.
Yeah, so we are going to probably get one more lap under safety car, so the hard-coded 3 laps will be in, and we will see what the field has in store. Bagsy, I'll just get you to keep an eye on the game just to see if the system actually tells us that the safety car is indeed coming in this lap at the end of the lap that is about to commence, which is the 50th lap. Yes, it is. So our timer has ticked over, and it says on the opposite screen, and it does say to us this is lap 50 of 51. So that means the safety car will be in at the end of the 50th lap, and for the second time in AMS Oz history, we get a green-white checker finish to a GT3 race.
Oh boy, I'm excited. And of all the tracks, right, it has to be Bathurst. Absolutely no room for error over the top. Yeah. Absolutely zero space to make a mistake, and also no space to make a convincing pass until you get unless you do it in the first section of the race or the very tail end. So this is going to be an absolutely nuts race. And wasn't it only last year that we had a 1 lap dash for the V8 supercars Bathurst 1000? Was it only last year?
I can't remember when that was actually.
It was last year.
John McDonald has pit for some fresh tyres just now, so he's going to come out. He's going to get behind Matt Schwass, and he might as well. He was already down at the back of the field, so get some fresh tyres and see what he can do with 1 lap to go.
Oh, what a nutty evening.
Well,
we said it was going to be a mess, a good mess, and this is what we've got.
I'm going to come back to your point that you raised probably about 20 minutes or so, Michael. Do we think that the podium battle is settled? Well, the answer is now an emphatic no, given the heavy hitters are at the front and anything is possible, and they're all going to be wringing the neck of these cars in the final lap. They're going to have to be on their game, though. Like, everyone's going to be... I'd like to see a really good restart, everybody bunched up real tight.
Yeah, but the thing is, this is just going to invite the red mist. Everyone's going to go, oh, we could gain a lot here, or we could lose a lot here. They're going to think about what they can gain, but they're not going to be thinking about what they can lose. So this is going to be an absolute mess that we're going to see.
And the confirmation coming through, which is from one of our fellow commentators, Stairs, in a live stream, is that on a green-white checker finish in Automobilista, it does finish on this lap. No matter what happens, it will be decided. So if we do get another incident where there's a major crash, the race will be decided. We hope it doesn't. We hope it doesn't come to that, but we're preparing for a restart.
Are we ready? Are we
right.
ready? I don't know
right.
that I'm...
As I said when we had the Monza one, if your belts weren't tight enough already, you better tighten them up really quickly and much, much tighter than you've ever tightened them before now, because I think we're about to get a really wild sprint finish in that occasion, and I think we're about to get another one. Now, the safety car's going around again here, so I'm just having a bit of a look to see if the lap time actually ticks over and gives us another lap, because if it does, I'm going to have to execute a little thing here to call that in. So that's something we weren't expecting. And it has gone over. Okay, so gentlemen, I'm just going to leave you there for a second, and I'm going to make a little adjustment here on the in the live stewarding room on behalf of Mike Coulston, because he's unfortunately had to bail on us, and we'll get that sorted.
Yeah, I believe he had the same issue come up that now those main stream computer and mine had, where the game froze and crashed and makes you unable to be able to access those sort of things. So hopefully that'll work out, and otherwise we'll just call the race will just be called it where they came across the line, I believe there, and that would be unfortunate for.
It's coming up that it's extending it by a lap as well. So on my screen it's saying lap 51 and 52. So we're still plugging away, and we shouldn't encounter any fuel drama either.
Yeah, let's hope no one was close on fuel. That'd be unfortunate as well.
Yeah, just keep the laps going and going till everyone runs out of fuel. Everyone should be fine on fuel, so that shouldn't be an issue. Just a matter of waiting it out at the moment.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to hopefully the safety car will listen to us.
Yep.
Won't go rogue.
So it looks like it will be coming in this lap, just judging by a few things that I've been able to sort out. One thing our fellow AMSL's live steward Mike Coulston saying is, are any of these drivers going to be tight on fuel toward the end?
No, they shouldn't be. They all pit on at about 30 minutes remaining, or 28 minutes remaining. So with the extended safety car periods that we've had both times around, they should be good to get to the end. You know, we were expecting 30-minute stints as a minimum to get to the end on 3 stops, and we're only just hitting that. And these laps under safety car shouldn't be putting that much stress on the fuel. I don't think anyone's going to be under fuel stress.
All right, let's hope that we get a safety car coming in into this lap. For those not in the know, there are a number of admin commands that can be run on the game during a live race, and that's what our live steward's been doing to add penalties or subtract penalties. If that's the case, there is also one to clear the yellow flag. So that's the command that has been executed, and as the drivers are weaving back and forth, they're allowed to do that. Normally not in GT3 competition. We've seen that happen a few times in the Bathurst 12 hour, where drivers been penalised for weaving when the safety car lights go out. Not on this occasion, the lights haven't gone out just yet, but given that they are trying to get some heat into the tyres, I'm hoping that we're about to get a restart. They're all starting to bunch up a little bit here, so we might be right to go. Let's just keep an eye on that safety car. And if she dives off to the left, we're in. Right, yes. Here we go. Gentlemen, tighten your belts. Get ready for probably what is going to be a very hotly contested restart. We're going to have eyes all the way up and down the field. There's a bit of shenanigans at the back, so hopefully that's going to be looked at. That's a 10-second stop-go penalty for Wayne Whitmore. We'll have to look at that post-race. But they're all lining up. They're all wanting to have a go at each other into turn 1, but it's Devonish that's going to be the one that has to cross the line first. Bolger's got to be awake to this, and he's not. He's asleep at the wheel, and Foley's right with him.
Goodbye, Bolger. Goodbye, Devonish.
Yep, and there goes Devonish. The battle for number 1, I think, is gone unless he makes a mistake. This is where it's interesting now. 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Zach Ross has not been able to go with it. Wayne Spencer's trying to go with Zach Ross for 5th place. It's Foley now trying to make a move on the outside of the number 87 on the way to Griffin's Bend.
Across the hill at Mountain Straight, and it's going to be side by side. They're side by side further back as well between Ross and Spencer, but it's Foley around the outside. He doesn't get it done. Bolger gets sideways. Ross gets sideways in the background as well. Foley's going to try and do the over-under. Xeris is going to try and do the over-under. File into the cutting, and further back it looks like Ross has managed to hold on from Wayne Spencer, but this is the battle for the podium at the front here between Bolger, Foley and Xeris.
Yeah, Zach Ross.
Brendan Ross has gone around in the cutting as well. He's been avoided by everyone else though, but he's lost a lot of positions on the last
so
lap.
he's out of this one as well. Now Bolger has started to clear away from Foley. Started to gap him. Very, very important for Steve Bolger. Foley is now starting to pull away from Xeris. Zach Ross is under an awful amount of pressure from Wayne Spencer. The other man who was in that battle looks like it's Ozrob, the number 555. He's started to lose touch of that battle as well. So not decided up and down the top 10 right now, but the top 4 have started to string out enormously. This may be well decided, except for if there's a mistake on this last little bit of the lap. A couple of bit of lock-ups into the elbow, but Bolger's gotten off there pretty cleanly, and very calm at the moment.
Yeah, he's going to have the great run down the straight. Everyone went so deep over Skyline. Xeris was the worst, and that's why he's dropped away. And they're drafting each other. They're snaking each other down Conrod Straight here. But it's Devonish who's got a few seconds of lead over Bolger and Foley. Foley doesn't
last minute send from Foley, and he's gone into the back of Bolger, but Bolger manages to hang on to it. Foley checks it up. Foley gets a little bit sideways out of the second to last corner, but he's going to be safe from Xeris. Devonish is going to take this win. He would not be denied after all the safety car intervention. So a win for Will Devonish, 4th winner on the season. Bolger to 2nd, Foley to 3rd, and Xeris to 4th. Zach Ross will get home from 5th ahead of Wayne Spencer. Ozrob completes his drive from the back of the field to 7th. Then comes Aaron Thomas, Pete Savage, and Liam Spencer, your man there, Michael, got himself home inside the top 10.
Yeah, completing the rest of the field. Termo 11th up his dreadful race. John McDonald actually gained a few positions on that last lap up to 12th. Then Luke Joyner, Matt Schwass, and Brandon Ross, the last.
There's a lot of Brendan Ross is having a lot of shenanigans at the minute. He's just binned it on the main straight, so we'll...
well, after that last lap, I think you can understand why.
Yeah, Wayne Whitmore's going to has got a penalty over his head that he's going to have to take a look at. But we'll see what happens there. I'm just looking to make sure that they actually have finished, because it looks like they're still racing out there, even though it's 52 laps shown. So we were a little bit short. We're a little bit short on the race distance, but it's all over and done with. But well, it wasn't as wild a finish as we thought it was going to be. We thought it was going to be a bit better than that. Once Devonish was gone, the real battle was the interesting one for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. But it sort of resolved itself pretty quickly by Skyline.
Yeah, and the reason for that is everyone, they've got progressively more deep over Skyline. So Bolger got it right, Foley went a bit deep, and then Xeris came flying over the top. I'm not sure if he made contact with the wall in the S's, but he got close. And once he recovered from that, they'd all just accordioned out, and they weren't ever going to come back in again. That battle between Ross and Wayne Spencer for 5th was pretty tight as well. But again, similar sort of thing. Once they came down the mountain, they all just spread out, and that was all she wrote.
Well, they behaved pretty well, actually. That's one thing I think I saw in the live chat. One of the guys that's not racing tonight jumped in and just sent them all a reminder saying, now, be sensible about it all. If you're going to make a pass, make sure it's clean. And they did behave themselves pretty much on that restart. The one at Monza was actually pretty well behaved as well when we did have it, although apart from the shenanigans that happened after the checkered flag where everybody ran into each other, which is now a bit of a no-no in AMSLs. But this man, best lap 2:03.625 in the race, so he doesn't get a race lap record, or doesn't break his own race lap record, race lap record, if I can get my words out. But he does set a new qualifying benchmark tonight. Oh, and there's all sorts of shenanigans as everyone's checking up at the pit lane entry as well, trying to avoid running into people. So he wouldn't be denied though, Will Devonish, would he, gentlemen?
Not at all.
Not at all. But Lamborghini have got 2 wins in the last 2 races now. They won the last race at Austria, at the Red Bull Ring, courtesy of Steve Bolger. And Will Devonish makes it 2 from 2. Lewis Wedding's got a win on the season as well. And so too does Brenton Foley. So top 3, just I think they're sorting themselves out at pit lane for a photograph opportunity. There they all are. And
Headlights ablaze.
and lights ablaze, and that is where I think we will leave them.
Whew. Damn, what a race.
We eventually, despite the technical gremlins, so apologies to everyone in the live stream that we did have that little dropout part way through, but we did eventually get there in the end, and we have ourselves a race winner, finally.
Yeah, finally, after a bit of stuffing around and some issues, but got there in the end. We always knew it was a potential problem with a longer race, so good that we managed to make it through the end relatively unscathed.
Yeah, it makes me feel worse too, because I actually did one of the game restarts like a number of the other drivers were doing, and still ended up with the problem. So that's what makes it a bit of a difficult pill to swallow for me, because I'm sort of very, fastidious about making sure that it's all good to go to try and avoid that as much as possible. But yeah, unfortunately not to be. But there are some things we're working on in the background to try and solve that a bit better for live streams moving forward, but they just quite haven't materialised yet. Gentlemen, do you two want to draw some straws as to who gets to interview who, or do I have to separate you two?
Nah, I'll let Bagsy choose. I've got some questions prepared, so I'll jump in if I need, if there's something that he misses, if he wants.
It's
I
on
might
you.
start off with Foley. We'll go from third to first. I'll start off with Foley, and Floody can take the top two.
Easy.
Foley, you had a bit of an interesting race to eventually end up third. 5 stops, which a few other people did. People were sort of bouncing between 5 and 4. All the people around you did 4 in terms of Zero, Bolger, and Devonish. Were you just of the opinion that you should just pit when there was a safety car and keep going, and that was your whole strategy, or were you actually planning something different?
I was kind of hoping after the first safety car we wouldn't get as many safety cars, because I knew the one strength that my car has over those extremely fast Lamborghinis at this track was fuel. And so when we all pitted the very first time, I think there was 1 hour and 34 minutes left. And when I pitted again under that same safety car, there was 1 hour and 30 minutes on the dot left. So I knew I could get home on 2 stops from there, whereas everyone else would have to do a splash and dash. So that was kind of the plan. But having safety cars a bit later on kind of ruined it. But yeah, overall, absolutely wrapped with a podium, because I wasn't that confident of outright car speed at this track with the Viper. I love the track, but the car didn't really suit it perfectly.
Yeah, we did see you bouncing back up and down the field a little bit through various pit stops and such. And we also noticed you being quite quick in the pit stops. So was that just down to the fact that you weren't using so much fuel and you were able to get out a bit faster?
Yeah, 100%. It was when I was back in the pack and sitting behind cars, I was saving a little bit of fuel, not too much, but the one strength that, as I said, the Viper has is fuel. So I knew that in those pit stops I could jump people if I was really good at getting in and out, and it worked quite a few times.
Oh, well, good race. And I'll see if Zalamari has any questions for you.
No, you basically touched on everything. Just a final thing, Brendan, just on the overall competitiveness of the series, how are you finding it? We're 4 races in, and it could still be anyone's game.
Yeah, it's really competitive. The Will has definitely just taken it up 10 notches this year, because in supercars and GT3, anything he's driving, he's ridiculously quick. So I'm kind of lost searching for what I can do to catch up a little bit, because there's a little bit of time I need to gain. But overall, the field looks fantastic and it's very competitive, and it's amazing to jump on every night and see 20 plus cars. It's just awesome.
Awesome. Congratulations on your 3rd place, Brendan Foley.
Thanks very much. I'll just say a very quick thank you to Mike for giving up his night and doing an excellent job as a live steward as well.
Yeah, props, Mike. If you want to, we might interview you at the end of this. We'll move on to 2nd place, Steve Bolger. Steve, backing up your victory from last fortnight with a 2nd place tonight. How did you rate your pace tonight versus the likes of Will ahead of you?
Floody, yeah, I knew he was quicker. We'd been in the same practice sessions a few times during the week, and he always had at least half a second on me if we were pushing, if not more. Obviously, I had a second in quali, so he was just too quick. But I found I could pull a gap on the other guys, so I was just lifting and coasting. a lot in the first half of the race, which let me jump him in the pits a couple of times, which I'm sure was a bit frustrating for him.
Yeah, we did make note of that. Yeah.
But yeah, he was just too quick.
Yeah, you mentioned that you were able to keep pace on the guys behind you as well. That battle for the minors, it was pretty tight throughout the race. What set you apart from the likes of Xeris and Foley to ensure that second position?
I think over the top, the Lambo was pretty good, and then anytime I got in a slipstream, it was able to pass the other cars pretty easy. So it was pretty well rounded, I think, across the circuit. Yeah, when it was really close, I think it was elbows out, and the guys, there's a fair bit of pressure there, which was good fun. But if I managed to get a second, I was pretty comfortable holding it.
Nice work. You still maintain the championship lead with this result. Heading into Donington Park next fortnight, what are your feelings going into that next race?
Still confident, very happy with how the championship's going. I think it's been top 2 every race so far, so looking to keep that up. The Lambo's going really well, and looking forward to it. Love Donington.
Awesome. Yeah, congratulations on second place. Good luck for the next round of the series.
Thanks, mate.
And that brings us to our winner tonight, Will Devonish, pole position, a new qualifying lap record. Didn't quite manage to get the lap record in the race, but led for the vast majority of it. Will, you had the pace all night. Congratulations. Tell us a bit about your race.
I'm a bit disappointed I didn't get the lap record in the race, but yeah, it's pretty much how I wanted it to go. After
Even with all the safety cars?
oh, those are annoying. But after Austria, I actually told the team like I want Bathurst. Like it's a race that's always I've had a bit of a voodoo on. So it's been great to crack it and get the win, especially in a long race like this.
Yeah, and what was amazing throughout the night is that whenever you were put under the pump, you always managed to get out and get back to the lead in a way that disadvantaged your opponents, like getting past Cracker, who acted like a bit of the cork in the bottle for those behind. What about those pit stops though? You didn't necessarily have the cleanest and quickest pit stops. What happened in there?
Nothing too drastic. I just kept filling it up all the way, and I think Bolger wasn't going up quite all the way. And I'm terrible at math on the fly, so I was just like, bugger it, just put as much in, hope for the best.
So does knowing that you have the pace to overtake these guys take that strategy pressure off you a little bit?
A little bit, but as you notice, like I always really pushed on the first lap to get back into the lead. I didn't want to be stuck in traffic or fighting anyone. So I'd always be ultra aggressive on that first lap, and it paid off.
Fantastic. What about that last safety car and that last lap dash? When that last safety car came out, what was going through your mind?
Well, part of me was a bit gutted that we'd finish under safety, and then realized we wouldn't, and then my relaxation didn't turn into relaxation after that, and quite stressed out. But yeah, managed to really get the jump on Bolger on the start. So once I saw his car like good 5 car lengths back, could relax and just finish the lap.
And you took with that lap the win this evening. Congratulations, Will.
Thank you.
Back to you, Nether.
Thanks to Michael and Bagsy for podium interviews there. The race for GT3 World Challenge season this season has tightened up enormously after that particular race. So, as Michael alluded to, Steve Bolger maintains his advantage at the head of the field. Actually, in fact, extends it over Brenton Foley by a couple of points, extends it out to 12. But Will Devonish's win has put him right on Brenton Foley's tail to the tune of 1 point, the difference between the pair of them. Will was level with Lewis Wedding on points coming into tonight, but with Lewis's unfortunate absence, that deadlock has now been broken, and the mid-pack is getting a point that was available. That went to 15th place man Wayne Whitmore, his teammate, actually finishing ahead of him, so he goes from 5th to 7th in the order. And even some of the other drivers that did fairly well tonight, Zach Ross on his in a gaggle of cars with Luke Joyner and Matt Schwass all on the same number of points as well. So still a lot to be played for in the remaining rounds. So the remaining rounds look a little something like this. as Michael alluded to, Donington is the next stop on the GT3 World Series calendar, and that's a 90-minute affair coming up on the 5th of May, and that sort of kicks off 3 European events in 4 rounds. So the MotoGP circuit for the 6th round over in Spain, Circuit Ricardo Tormo, then off to Shanghai, full with its smogginess and everything you'll see on the broadcast will be great. Then back to Europe for the last time, to the place that we've always had a lot of chaos at, in Monza, and then the final in the United States on the East Coast in upstate New York, Watkins Glen. So that's still to be played out between now and the end of June, but coming up in the next couple of weeks is on your screen now. So Super 2 this Friday night, Calder Park Raceway. I'm actually going to have to get my sim rig out for that one. I haven't done any racing for a little while because that's one of the series that I'm involved in racing away from the mic. Track Day Challenge comes up next Monday. And then TCR, the international round for TCR. That's a circuit that nobody has been familiar with, and it's been injected into TCR for the first time in AMSL's history. It's an Italian circuit, Autodromo Riccardo Paletti, going to deliver quite a good battle, I think, over the 3 races that are going to be there. It's got some medium straights, some chicanes, plenty of passing opportunities. There's most corners you can actually pass at, so be sure to tune in for that one. It's a great little bull ring, that track. And then, of course, the TCAC all-wheel drive series from Londrina. Now, just to clear that one up for the drivers that do race in the TCAC series, that circuit is actually the stock car version. It is not the long version. It is the alternate stock car version. So just make sure if you're going to be practicing for that one that you do practice on the right circuit, because they are very, very similar. There's just a very small difference in 1 or 2 of the corners between one circuit layout and the other one, but make sure you practice the right one. We will leave it at that for tonight. It's been a long night, 3 hours on the live stream, and of course a couple of technical dramas, but thank you for staying with us over the course of the evening. We will see you in a couple of weeks for the next round of GT3 from Donington, and also next time on this channel we have a Supercars broadcast from Pukekohe in New Zealand. Thanks to my fellow commentators Michael and Bagsy. As always, please drive safely. See you next time. Bye for now.